Chapter 1706. Tiangang Mountain, Human Race Alliance. What's going on? Our disciples said that the protective mountain array has been activated and no one can enter. Nine Cauldron sect leader Bao Boming frowned. As he spoke, he looked at the leaders of the other sacred ground. It's the same for our Heavenly King Palace. Heavenly King Palace's palace, Master Chai Boyan said in a muffled voice. Our Piercing Cloud Island's disciples couldn't teleport back. It seems like the array there has been shut down. Nothing should happen, right? Song Tian said darkly. If only one force couldn't enter, then the protective mountain array might have been activated by accident. If two forces were in trouble at the same time, it might be a coincidence. But what if three sacred grounds were in trouble at the same time? Was it an accident? Or a coincidence? In an instant, the faces of the 9 people in the hall darkened. They all had a bad feeling in their hearts. They felt that something had happened to their own strength. However, those were the 9 sacred grounds of the human race. How could something happen so easily? Furthermore, the chances of something happening at the same time was too small. Unless the sacred race and the demon race attacked. But even these 2 races couldn't possibly attack the 9 sacred grounds in such a short time. Furthermore, if the sacred race and the demon race attacked, the Human Race Alliance would have received news of it beforehand. Even if it was the sacred race and the demon race, they couldn't possibly wipe out all the 9 sacred grounds at the same time. However, the more they felt that it was impossible, the more uneasy they felt. In the end, Unparalleled Palace Master Lin Guyun couldn't sit still any longer. She disappeared from the spot in a flash. When she reappeared, she was already in front of the teleportation array connecting the Human Race Alliance and Unparalleled Palace. However, her expression was extremely ugly. How is it? Is the teleportation array of Unparalleled Palace also sealed? Song Tian and the rest rushed over. When they saw Lin Guyun's ugly expression, their hearts skipped a beat. Song Tian, who also realized that the teleportation array was sealed, asked anxiously. Lin Guyun nodded with an ugly expression. This nod caused the hearts of the other great figures to sink. However, Song Tian heaved a sigh of relief. At least, Piercing Cloud Island wasn't the only one in trouble. At least something had happened to the Unparalleled Palace. One had to know that even among the 10 great holy lands, there were still differences in strength. Other than the Seamless sect, the strongest was undoubtedly the true Martial Temple, and the second was the Unparalleled Palace. Even the Unparalleled Palace was in trouble, let alone the cloud-piercing island. Our Rising Sky sect's transportation formation can't be used anymore. The true Martial Sacred Hall's teleportation formation has been shut down. All of a sudden, all of the 9 sacred lands' teleportation formations were being questioned. At this point, no matter how much Feng Yongji and the others tried to comfort themselves, they knew that something had happened to their organization. Let's go back and take a look. Feng Yongji's expression was very ugly. If the true Martial Temple was destroyed, he would die without a doubt. He would be slapped to death by Supreme True Martial. Lin Guyun and the rest had the same intention. Just as they were about to leave, they were stopped by Song Tian. This might be Morong Yu's scheme. He used some underhanded means to bribe the disciples of our forces to destroy the teleportation array. Then, once we leave, he will barge into the Human Race Alliance? Song Tian paused for a moment before Chai Boyan, the Hall Master of the Heavenly King Palace, continued. Song Tian nodded. The expressions of Feng Yongji and the others darkened when they heard their conversation. After pondering for a moment, they felt that the duo's analysis made sense. However, what if something really happened to their organization? Perhaps they might be able to turn the tide if they returned now. However, if they were late and their organization was destroyed, they would regret it for the rest of their lives. While they were hesitating, a primal chaos progenitor saint flew over from afar. What's going on? Song Tian was already in a bad mood. When the primal chaos progenitor saint rushed over, it immediately infuriated him. Alliance leader, Grand Elders, there's someone called Murongyu outside who wishes to see you. He said he has something that interests the Alliance leader and Grand Elders, the primal chaos progenitor saint said, startled. However, he still revealed the purpose of his visit. Murongyu? He has something that interests us? Song Tian and the others looked at each other. They could see the confusion in each other's eyes. In fact, they even felt uneasy. Originally, they should be happy that Murongyu had arrived before the deadline. But now, not only were they not happy, but their hearts also sank. Could this matter really have something to do with Murongyu? Otherwise, he wouldn't have arrived in such a timely manner. The same thought flashed through everyone's mind. Then, they all looked at Feng Yongji. Let's go out and see what tricks he's up to, Feng Yongji decided. Then, he and the others quickly appeared outside the heavy fog of Big Dipper Mountain. In the void not far from them, Murongyu, who was dressed in black, stood in the void with his arms crossed. He sneered at Feng Yongji and the others. I'm here. Can you release my wife and children? Before Feng Yongji and the others could catch their breath, Murongyu spoke indifferently. Song Tian chuckled. Of course. We keep our promises and are the most trustworthy. However, before we let them go, we have to verify their identities. A mocking expression appeared on Murongyu's face. Are you going to say that you want me to seal my strength and only release us after you've verified my identity? Song Tian was stunned. He could not help but ask, how did you know? Murongyu's mocking expression became even heavier. Who in the entire Saints world doesn't know that your human alliance is extremely shameless? Is there even a need to guess what a shameless person is thinking? How dare you? Song Tian's face instantly turned gloomy as he glared at Murongyu with eyes that seemed to be spitting fire. Murderous intent surged from his body. He clearly wanted to kill Murongyu. Song Tian was about to charge towards Murongyu. However, at this moment, Feng Yongji took a step forward. He looked at Murongyu and growled, Murongyu, you said you have something that interests us? What is it? Murongyu looked at Feng Yongji indifferently. You're the hall master of the true martial sacred hall, right? The person who issued the true martial kill order to me back then? TSK, you're just SOSO after seeing you today. Feng Yongji's face turned red. He regretted expelling Murongyu from the true martial sacred hall the most. If he had known that Murongyu was a chaotic celestial, he might have already obtained Murongyu's body or even successfully possessed it. He would not have spent so much effort to plot against Murongyu. Alright, I won't waste my breath on you old guys. I just want to ask, have you noticed that your teleportation formation can't be used? Seeing Feng Yongji and the others' expressions change, Murongyu knew that they must have noticed. Therefore, he continued, you must think that I bribed or controlled your people to destroy the teleportation formation, right? Feng Yongji and the others could not help but glance at Song Tian when he said that. Didn't Song Tian think of this possibility before? However, since Murongyu dared to say that, the truth was definitely not so. I'm sorry, you've guessed wrong. The truth is, I've already wiped out the 9 great saint lands. After saying that, Murongyu no longer spoke. He stood in the air and looked at Feng Yongji and the others with a smile. Ah! Feng Yongji and the others were stunned at first before they burst out laughing. Even the current palace master of Peerless Palace, Lin Guyun, could not help but laugh. Murongyu, you're really good at joking. With just you? With just you alone, you can wipe out the 9 great saint lands? Are you here to make fun of us? Yuan Wei, the sect leader of Rising Sky sect, pointed at Murongyu and laughed loudly. He thought Murongyu was hilarious. They did not believe that Murongyu had the ability to wipe out the 9 great saint lands in just a few days. Unless a supreme being made a move. Laugh as much as you want. You'll be crying in a while. Murongyu laughed as well. Moreover, he laughed even more proudly. As he spoke, Murong Yu waved his hand and 9 black shadows shot toward Feng Yongji and the others. Feng Yongji and the others were powerful, so they were not afraid of Murong Yu playing tricks. Moreover, Murong Yu did not play any tricks. Each of them grabbed one of the black shadows. As it turned out, it was a jade slip. The 9 of them looked grave when they used their divine consciousness to check the jade slip. The contents of the jade slip in their hands were actually the same. It was how their forces would look after being wiped out. It was just the scene of their respective sections. I know you don't believe me, but I can tell you that your forces have really been wiped out by me. Furthermore, I've already captured all of your people in the sect. Of course, I'll give you time to verify it. Is 10 days enough? I'll be back in 10 days. As he spoke, Murong Yu's figure retreated rapidly. However, just as he retreated, Feng Yongji and the others attacked at the same time. Bang! However, before their attacks could land on Murong Yu's body exploded on its own. Then, Murong Yu's mocking laughter could be heard. You idiots, do you think I'll be stupid enough to use my real body to come over? This is just a clone of my power. Oh right, you only have 10 days. His voice gradually disappeared and finally disappeared. Feng Yongji and the others looked in the direction where Murong Yu disappeared with ashen faces. Then, they looked at Song Tian fiercely in unison. It's all because of your evil idea. If there's anything wrong with our forces, we'll hold you responsible. At this time, even if they were fools, they knew why Murong Yu wanted to wipe out their forces. Exchange hostages. Moreover, Murong Yu had more hostages in his hands, and they were more important. Because it was their entire orthodoxy, they had no choice but to exchange it. Song Tian's face darkened and he snorted coldly, "Don't talk about these useless things. Didn't you agree?" With that, Song Tian rushed into Big Dipper Mountain without looking back. Only Feng Yongji and the others were left looking at each other. Chapter 1707. What? The 9 great sacred grounds of the human race were wiped out by Murong Yu alone? Did Murong Yu really wipe out the 9 great sacred grounds alone? Murong Yu's strength is actually so terrifying? Revenge. It's definitely revenge. Who asked the Human Race Alliance to shamelessly use Murong Yu's wife and children to threaten Murong Yu? Didn't Murong Yu retaliate? And he's even more ruthless than the Human Race Alliance, directly wiping out their orthodoxies. Ruthless. Brilliant. I want to see if the shameless Human Race Alliance will exchange hostages or not. When Feng Yongji and the others sent people back to find out if the orthodoxies were really wiped out, the news had already spread throughout the entire holy world. When they heard the news, there were only 3 reactions. The first was that they didn't believe it. They didn't believe that Murong Yu was so terrifying. After they reacted, they felt that Murong Yu was very powerful, super powerful. In the end, everyone felt that Murong Yu's actions were right. On the contrary, the more Murong Yu did this, the more people felt that the Human Race Alliance was shameless. The reason why Murong Yu did this was because he was forced by the shameless Human Race Alliance. Many people even cheered because of Murong Yu's desperate counterattack. Wasn't the Human Race Alliance shameless? I'm going to be even more shameless than them. That's the way to deal with shameless people. While everyone was gloating, Feng Yongji and the others in the Human Race Alliance were extremely gloomy. This was because they realized that Murong Yu was telling the truth. In other words, the 9 great sacred grounds were really wiped out. They were shocked and furious. But more than that, they were terrified. Yes, they were terrified. How could Murong Yu be so powerful? In less than 10 days, he wiped out the 9 great sacred grounds, and no one from the 9 great sacred grounds escaped. All of them were captured. What realm had his strength reached? Could there be a supreme being behind him? The 9 people in the main hall were extremely gloomy, but no one spoke. Feng Yongji and the others were even more regretful. Was it a mistake for them to agree to Song Tian's scheme? The destruction of the entire Holy Land made them the greatest sinners of their respective forces. The kind that cannot be forgiven. Feng Yongji and Lin Gyun were especially terrified. It was one thing for the other sacred grounds, but they didn't have any supremes above them. Even if the Holy Land was destroyed, no one would hold them accountable. However, they were different. It wasn't that they were scared of being slapped to death by supreme beings, but rather that they felt ashamed, unable to face their ancestors. Tell me, what should we do? Tiangang sect master, Shui Juanhao, couldn't help but speak first. Lin Gyun frowned slightly and said in a low voice, Murong Yu's counterattack destroyed our sacred grounds. It was just an exchange of hostages. I propose an exchange with them. Then, I'll pretend that it never happened. Feng Yongji and the others nodded. Only Song Tian, who had a vicious expression, remained silent. A cold glint flashed across his eyes. Do you think that Murong Yu would exchange hostages with us so easily? Using those people to exchange for all of our people? If it were you, would you do that? Song Tian said after a long while. Feng Yongji and the others' faces darkened. Although they had captured quite a number of Shengzhen's disciples, the number was incomparable to one of their holy lands, let alone the 9 great holy lands. Murong Yu definitely wouldn't use the 9 great holy lands to exchange for Kurlan and the rest. If they wanted to exchange for the rest of the people, they would definitely have to pay a huge price. What price would they use to exchange for them? The treasuries of the 9 great holy lands had all been taken by Murong Yu. Even though they had quite a number of treasures, every one of them was extremely precious. It would be a pity to exchange for them. No matter what, we must exchange for them. We will exchange for as much as we can. If we don't, then we will disappoint them and everyone in the world. Lin Gyun said solemnly. At the same time, she looked at Song Tian unhappily. I really regret that I didn't insist on opposing your actions back then. The other controllers also nodded slightly, feeling something in their hearts. If not for Song Tian's scheme, they wouldn't be like this. In the end, Feng Yongji and the others decided to exchange hostages. Only Song Tian disagreed. But now that the hostages were in Feng Yongji's hands, he couldn't do anything even if he disagreed. Moreover, it was 8 against 1. If Song Tian continued to insist and infuriated Feng Yongji and the others, he would probably be suppressed by the 8 of them. At this point, they didn't want any more unforeseen events to happen. 10 days passed in the blink of an eye. On this day, Murong Yu appeared in the sky above Stellar Sky City. Behind him and around him were layers and layers of experts. These people weren't Xianhua, Yang Hao, and the others. After all, they were from the evil demon race and the angel race. They didn't show themselves this time. These people came from all over the world to watch the show. Among them, there was no lack of experts on the saint rankings. Of course, the powerful Murong Yu could sense that quite a few of these people were harboring ill intentions. Some of them even showed killing intent towards him. They probably wanted to snatch Murong Yu's things, or even Murong Yu's physical body. However, since Murong Yu dared to show himself in public and wasn't afraid of these people watching, he wasn't worried about these people at all. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Feng Yongji and the others quickly appeared in front of Murong Yu. Not a single one of the rulers of the 8 great holy lands remained, all of them present. In addition to them, there were many experts on the saint rankings and other experts from the human race Great Alliance behind them. However, these people didn't look good. They all glared at Murong Yu with murderous looks. After all, Murong Yu's actions had embarrassed the human race Great Alliance. They couldn't raise their heads in front of others anymore. Moreover, among those captured by Murong Yu, there were their elders, juniors, relatives, and so on. They didn't think that if they hadn't been shameless first, would Murong Yu have done this? Of course, Murong Yu would do this sooner or later. After all, he would unify the human race sooner or later. However, Song Tian's conspiracy had caused Murong Yu to act much earlier. Murong Yu, did you bring them? Feng Yongji looked at Murong Yu and said with a gloomy face. Although they didn't continue to communicate, everyone knew that they were going to exchange hostages. What did you bring? Hearing Feng Yongji's words, Morong Yu was stunned and confused. Song Tian thought that Morong Yu was pretending, so he snorted coldly. Cut the crap. Didn't you want to exchange hostages? We brought your people here without any harm. Hurry up and hand over our people. Looking at the gloomy Song Tian, Morong Yu mocked him. I'm curious. When did I say that I wanted to exchange hostages? Thump. Hearing this, Feng Yongji and the others' hearts skipped a beat. Could it be that Morong Yu didn't want to exchange hostages? Song Tian was furious and blurted out, You're shameless! Morong Yu laughed out loud. Are you shameless, Song Tian, or am I shameless? Also, did I say that I wanted to exchange hostages? When did I say that? I don't think so. Did I? Morong Yu didn't reply. Feng Yongji and the others' faces turned ugly. Enough. Morong Yu, what do you want? Lin Guyun stepped forward and said with an ugly expression. Bai Luo also stared at Morong Yu with an ugly expression. No one knew what she was thinking. Morong Yu smiled. I don't want to do anything. I'm just here to exchange hostages today. Pu, hearing Morong Yu's words, Song Tian and the others almost spat out blood. Wasn't this a scam? Your people are all fine and haven't been harmed. They're all in this spatial treasure. Morong Yu, hand over our men as well, Feng Yongji said to Morong Yu with a much better expression as he walked over. Morong Yu shook his head. Hand over my people first. Otherwise, there's no need to talk. Right now, Morong Yu controlled the lives of countless people in the 9 Holy Land. If he didn't take the initiative, then he would have lived in vain. Do you think I'm stupid? Song Tian roared before Feng Yongji could speak. Morong Yu looked at Song Tian as if he was looking at an idiot. If you're not stupid, then who is? If you're not stupid, why would you come up with such a sinister idea? The other Holy Lands are easy to deal with, but I need to think carefully about the disciples of Cloud-Piercing Island. Song Tian, stand aside. If you make me unhappy again, do you believe that I won't kill all the disciples of Cloud-Piercing Island? You! Song Tian was furious. He wanted to slap Morong Yu to death. But he didn't dare. Because if he wanted to attack, the first to stop him would be Feng Yongji and the others. In the end, Song Tian bitterly walked to the side. Morong Yu, I hope you can keep your promise, Feng Yongji said. Then, he threw the spatial treasure containing Kurlan and the others to Morong Yu. Morong Yu hurriedly checked the surroundings. After confirming that no one was injured or killed, a smile appeared on his face. A total of 90,000 Glory Sect disciples have been taken down by you guys. Forget it, let's count it as a few 100,000. Among them, there are 4 experts on the Holy List, as well as the Primal Chaos Ancestor Sage. Morong Yu slowly reported the number of people and cultivation realms of Kurlan and the others. Hearing Morong Yu's words, Feng Yongji and the others had a bad feeling. Sure enough, after Morong Yu finished reporting, he said, This time, I will only release 100,000 people. 100,000 sages with the same cultivation realms. As for the distribution of those experts, apart from Cloud-Piercing Island, you can discuss among yourselves. Oh right, there's not much time. If you can't come to an agreement after half a day, you won't want your people. Morong Yu, how can you do this? Bai Luo asked angrily. One must know that every Holy Land had at least a few 100 million disciples. Releasing 100,000 people wasn't even the tip of the iceberg. Morong Yu just smiled faintly. There's not much time. Of course, if you don't want these 100,000 people, then I'll leave. After saying that, Morong Yu made a gesture to leave. Chapter 1708. Feng Yongji and the others were shocked. As Morong Yu's enemies, they had done their research on Morong Yu. They knew that Morong Yu was not only loyal to his friends, but he was also a man of his words. If they continued to dawdle, Morong Yu would really leave immediately. After discussing for a while, they seemed to have reached a conclusion. However, Feng Yongji and Lin Guyun's expressions were still a little better. On the other hand, the expressions of the rulers of the other sacred grounds were extremely ugly. True Martial Temple, Unparalleled Palace, Heavenly Dipper Sect, and Purple Thunder Hall each had a spot on the saint rankings. As for the other Holy Lands, they naturally didn't have any Holy Land slots, so their expressions were naturally ugly. However, who asked these experts from the Holy Lands to be slightly stronger than them? In truth, the true Martial Temple should be ranked first among the 9 great Holy Lands, excluding the Seamless Society. The Unparalleled Palace was naturally second. Outside the Unparalleled Palace was the Tiangang sect, and the fourth was the Piercing Cloud Island. However, Piercing Cloud Island was directly ruled out by Murongyu. Thus, the 5th-ranked Purple Thunder Hall was chosen. This made the rulers of the other Holy Lands unhappy, but Song Tian was even more unhappy. However, even if Song Tian could not wait to slap Murongyu to death, Song Tian did not dare to do so. However, they did not dare to make any moves. Just as he had said before, if he dared to make a move, the first to make a move would be Feng Yongji and the others. After all, if Song Tian dared to make a move, he would anger Murongyu. Now that Murongyu was angry, they would have to pay a huge price. Soon, Murongyu released the disciples of the 8 great Holy Lands according to their corresponding realms, according to the quota they had discussed. Boom! Just after those people were released, Song Tian finally could not help but make a move. He took a ferocious step forward, gathered all the strength he could muster in his right fist, and punched towards Murongyu. A cold killing intent flashed in Murongyu's eyes, but a smile appeared on his face. He didn't seem to make any movements, but he also threw out a punch. However, unlike Song Tian's lightning-fast speed, Murongyu's fist was extremely slow. There was almost no movement, but it was paradoxically very fast. In the blink of an eye, before the people around them could even react, their fists had already fiercely collided in the air. Bang! At the moment the fists collided, a figure was sent flying. At this moment, the surrounding people finally saw it clearly. The one who flew out was actually Song Tian. Song Tian, the island master of the cloud-piercing island, was extremely powerful. Among the rulers of the 9 great holy lands of the human race, his strength was ranked 3rd. However, he was so weak that he was sent flying by Murongyu's punch. Feng Yongji and the others who wanted to stop Song Tian were stunned, and so were the onlookers in the distance. They were all stunned by Murongyu's strength. This was especially so for those who knew that Song Tian was powerful and were also powerful themselves. For example, Feng Yongji and Lin Guyun. With their strength, they could defeat Song Tian, but it would take a huge battle to determine the winner. However, Murongyu seemed to have sent Song Tian flying with a casual punch. In the air, Song Tian spat out a mouthful of blood. His old face flushed red with embarrassment. An incomparably strong sense of humiliation filled his entire body, causing him to almost faint. "Old man, I've been unhappy with you for a long time. If not for the hundreds of millions of lives of the cloud-piercing island's disciples in my hands, I would have smashed your old face with a slap and killed you directly. Don't flaunt your seniority, I hate people like you the most. Remember, if you want me to release your cloud-piercing island's disciples, you have to give me 3 supreme weapons. I'll give you 1 year. If you don't have 3 supreme weapons, don't blame me for being impolite and killing all the disciples of the cloud-piercing island." Murongyu snorted coldly, then took a step forward and disappeared. He disappeared? Just as the crowd was getting excited over Murongyu's scolding of Song Tian, they suddenly realized that Murongyu had disappeared. That shouldn't be the case. Isn't the space here already sealed? How could he enter the Hichu Luoshu? In the crowd, a powerhouse was puzzled. Feng Yongji glared fiercely at the powerhouse who had spoken, a cold murderous intent flashing across his eyes. Because that person was not from the human clan's Great Alliance. The human clan's Great Alliance had not planned such a scheme. After all, their disciples were now in Murong Yu's hands. If Murong Yu was captured or killed, then their disciples would not be able to return. Or, their disciples would be taken by someone else. At that time, they could still threaten them. Therefore, they did not wish for Murong Yu to die or be captured. Pooh! Hearing Murong Yu's words, Song Tian could not help but spit out another mouthful of blood. 3 Supreme Being Weapons? Do you think Supreme Being Weapons are common goods? 2 Supreme Artifacts. Song Tian cursed in his heart. He hated Murong Yu to the core. The Seamless Society only had 3 supreme artifacts. As one of the Holy Lands, the cloud-piercing island had at least 2 supreme artifacts. However, what Murong Yu wanted were the 3 supreme artifacts. Even if the cloud-piercing island had 3 supreme artifacts, Song Tian had already recognized one of them as its master. His compatibility with the supreme artifact was not bad, but it had taken him a long time to achieve that. If he had 3 supreme artifacts, he would have to give his supreme artifact to Murong Yu and erase his connection with the supreme artifact. That way, the cloud-piercing island would no longer have a supreme artifact. Was a holy land without a supreme artifact still a holy land? Perhaps the cloud-piercing island could still maintain its name as a holy land for a few more years by relying on the protective mountain array and various other treasures. However, they had nothing now. Once they lost their supreme artifacts, they would no longer be worthy of being one of the 10 great holy lands. However, could Song Tian not exchange? Those were hundreds of millions of disciples. If that happened, he would definitely break the hearts of the people of the cloud-piercing island and the entire world. Right, the other 8 great holy lands must also prepare 2 supreme artifacts. Otherwise, there's no need to talk. Of course, you can take me. However, I can't guarantee what will happen in the process. Just as Song Tian spat out blood, Murong Yu's voice drifted over with the wind. Pooh! Song Tian spat out another mouthful of blood. In any case, he had already lost enough face. It didn't matter if he spat out more blood. He would have to pay the price of another supreme artifact in order to redeem the disciples of the cloud-piercing island. How could he not spit out blood? Everyone disperse. Otherwise, I will assume that you are attacking the great alliance of the human race. Feng Yongji's expression was ugly as he swept his gaze over the people around him. Then, he quickly entered the layers of fog of the Big Dipper Mountain. The people who had come to inquire about the situation also dispersed like a swarm of bees. This was the headquarters of the Great Alliance of the human race. If they continued to stay here, they might really be killed by the Human Race Alliance of the human race. This is too much. Too much. After returning to the Great Alliance of the human race, Song Tian roared. This guy was about to be burned by his own anger. How can you all be so calm? Not even the slightest bit angry? Don't tell me you all want to give Murong Yu a supreme artifact? Seeing Feng Yongji and the rest's calm expressions, Song Tian felt that it was a little inconceivable. Lin Guiyun glanced at Song Tian indifferently. What's the use of being angry? Will anger be able to get our disciples back? Let's think of a way. Song Tian was instantly speechless. Anger was really useless. However, he was really unwilling to hand over 3 supreme artifacts in exchange. In the Hichu Luoshu, the vast and boundless land was filled with people. All the disciples of the 9 great saint lands, close to 10 billion saints, were gathered here. In the void in front of them, there was a black-robed youth floating in the air. This black-robed youth was naturally Murong Yu. I'm sure everyone saw what happened just now. Whether or not you all can leave will depend on the person in charge of your faction. Those are 2 supreme artifacts. I'm sure if they want to exchange them for you all, they'll be able to take them out. Murong Yu first swept a glance at the saints whose strength had been sealed, then indifferently said, "That's right." Although his voice wasn't loud, the 10 billion people heard it clearly. Hearing Murong Yu's words, the disciples of the true martial temple and unparalleled palace heaved a sigh of relief. Using 2 supreme artifacts to exchange for hundreds of millions of their people, they believed that their Saint Lord would choose to do the exchange. However, the hundreds of millions of disciples of the cloud-piercing island had uncertain expressions. Some people firmly believed that Song Tian would take out 3 supreme artifacts to exchange for them, but some people didn't think so. After all, those were 3 supreme artifacts. If it were them, would they exchange them? Some people were immediately certain in their hearts. They wouldn't exchange. It was better to die than to die. Only one's own life was the most precious. It was the same as the Saint Lord's disciple. My friends from the cloud-piercing island are in danger. However, you all don't have to worry. Perhaps Song Tian will take out 1 or 2 supreme artifacts to exchange for some of you. If that happens, will he exchange you all at once? Or will he exchange you for someone he chooses? Just as the disciples of the cloud-piercing island had uncertain expressions, Murong Yu sneered and said those words. Then, without waiting for them to react, Murong Yu waved his hand and sent them to the other side of Hichu Luoshu. He had isolated the 9 great saint lands. Otherwise, there might be some scenes of grudges that would cause a big fight. In the end, Murong Yu left the unparalleled palace alone. Murong Yu, how can you do this? Our unparalleled palace has never done anything to you. In the crowd, a beautiful woman stood up and pointed at Murong Yu as she scolded angrily. The disciples of the unparalleled palace around her were immediately shocked, and some of the stronger ones forcibly suppressed the woman who spoke. Then, they nervously said to Murong Yu, "I'm sorry, my junior sister is still young and doesn't know any better. Please don't take offense." Murong Yu waved his hand. "It's fine. Let senior sister Fei Yuqin continue." Fei Yuqin was the beautiful woman who had represented the unparalleled palace in the 10 Great Saint Lands exchange at the True Martial Temple. She could be considered an old acquaintance of Murong Yu. Chapter 1709. Hearing that, everyone from Unparalleled Palace was stunned. They did not expect Murong Yu to be so friendly. Based on the rumors they had heard about Murong Yu and Murong Yu's current status, he could not even look at them. In fact, if it were anyone else, they would have killed Fei Yuqin on the spot after hearing what she said. However, Murong Yu was behaving like that? He even called Fei Yuqin's senior sister politely? Towards Murong Yu's attitude, even Fei Yuqin could not believe it, let alone the others from Unparalleled Palace. After all, although Murong Yu was her peer not too long ago, he was now a super expert who had suppressed the 9 Great Saint Lands. The difference in status and strength between the two of them was huge. Could this be a gentleness? Don't be fooled by Murong Yu's smiling face. Was he hiding a dagger in his smile and waiting for the next moment to kill Fei Yuqin? In an instant, many disciples from Unparalleled Palace had the same thought in their mind. Furthermore, a few people beside Fei Yuqin even stopped her and looked at Murong Yu cautiously. Murong Yu's current strength was stronger than everyone from Unparalleled Palace. This was especially true for the ordinary saints who were closer to Murong Yu. As a result, Murong Yu's casual thought nearly caused him to vomit blood. That was because he realized that many disciples from Unparalleled Palace thought that his friendliness was actually a conspiracy. However, did he need any conspiracy to deal with these people? With one slap, all of them would die. However, Murong Yu's expression changed slightly and many people from Unparalleled Palace noticed it. Therefore, these people were even more certain that Murong Yu's actions were a conspiracy to deal with them. Sensing their thoughts, Murong Yu was speechless. "Senior sisters, don't stop me. I want to speak. Murong Yu shouldn't be that kind of person." Fei Yuqin was being controlled by her senior sisters. However, as the genius disciple of the Unparalleled Palace's younger generation, her physical cultivation was much stronger than others. Therefore, she quickly broke free from his control. Then, he began to shout. At this time, Fei Yuqin's senior sisters were also speechless. If they tried to stop them, they didn't know what would happen. If Murong Yu really wanted to kill them, even if Fei Yuqin didn't say anything, she would still kill them. Murong Yu, what do you want? Why aren't you letting us go? Do you want to kill all of us? Our unparalleled palace has no enmity with you. Fei Yuqin broke free from the control and scolded Murong Yu. Murong Yu's face instantly darkened. Your holy Lord Lin Gyun and the other leaders of the Human Race Alliance worked together to deal with me. They even captured my family to threaten me. How is this not a grudge? Our holy Lord is definitely not that kind of person. She will definitely stop this matter. However, her strength is limited. She doesn't have the final say in the Human Race Alliance, Fei Yuqin said agitatedly. Murong Yu's face darkened. Fei Yuqin spoke as if she personally saw Lin Guyu stopping Song Tian. However, Fei Yuqin had always been in the unparalleled palace. Otherwise, she wouldn't have appeared in the Hichu Luoshu. Therefore, Murong Yu said unhappily, "Don't tell me you saw Lin Gyun stopping Song Tian?" Fei Yuqin was stunned. Then, she shook her head. She wasn't even there. How could she have seen it? However, she still said stubbornly, "Our holy Lord is definitely not that kind of shameless person. She must have her reasons." All right. Seeing that the agitated Fei Yuqin wanted to continue explaining, Murong Yu quickly waved his hand to stop her. Otherwise, she wouldn't stop. I didn't want to let your unparalleled palace go. Even if I don't have the two supreme artifacts, I will still let you go. However, you have to stay here temporarily. Hearing Murong Yu's words, the unparalleled palace's people didn't believe him at first. They also didn't believe him at first. Then why didn't you let us go earlier or didn't capture us at all? Fei Yuqin was stunned. Then, she blurted out. The rest of the unparalleled palace nodded their heads in agreement. Murong Yu was helpless. He was angered by these long-haired but short-sighted women. Use your brains and think. If I didn't capture your unparalleled palace or let you go first, wouldn't the other Holy Lands think that I'm on the same side as the unparalleled palace? As for the bad consequences, I'll leave it to you to imagine. With that, Murong Yu left in a flash. Fei Yuqin and the rest were stunned. Then, they broke out in cold sweat. If Murong Yu really didn't capture them or let them go first, it would definitely arouse the suspicions of the other 8 Holy Lands. In the end, the 8 Holy Lands would even join forces to deal with the unparalleled palace. Murong Yu, why didn't you take the opportunity to suppress the Human Alliance and control Feng Yongji, Song Tian, and the rest to unify the human race? Murong Yu had just appeared beside Xian Hua and Yang Hao when he heard Xian Hua's confused voice. Murong Yu's current strength was enough to suppress the Great Ten Alliance. It was enough to unify the human race. But why didn't he do anything? Murong Yu smiled faintly and asked a seemingly unrelated question. Do you know why the human race can go against the demon race and even the entire holy race? Although they've always been at a disadvantage, they haven't been suppressed or chased out of the holy world. In fact, the human race even occupies many good places. Because the human race has many top-notch experts. Xian Hua and Yang Hao said at the same time. The top-notch experts they were talking about were the supreme experts and the holy rankings. As for the ruler? There was only one ruler in the entire holy world, heaven. And their small skirmishes were like child's play in the eyes of heaven. Perhaps heaven wanted the various races to go to war. That way there would be even less people who could threaten his ruling position. Generally speaking, as long as there was no threat to heaven, heaven couldn't be bothered to take a look. What did the life and death of others have to do with him? In the immemorial era, the human race forcefully ascended from the lower realm. At that time, the human race was extremely weak, but the holy race didn't take the human race seriously. However, by the time they reacted and wanted to suppress the human race had already risen. Moreover, the human race's greatest asset was their race. In a short period of time, they developed into a large race, a race that could contend against the demon race and even the holy race. That was because the human race had a supreme expert, and they weren't weak. Therefore, the human race finally achieved their current status. However, a long time ago, all the supreme experts disappeared. They disappeared overnight and never appeared in the holy world again. As a result, the holy ranking experts dominated the holy world, and there were no more supreme experts. In the top 10 of the holy ranking, there's a Yu Yangjia who's a disciple of the unbroken path. Murong Yu, he's your senior brother. With a senior brother like you as a backer, you have no pressure at all to unify the human race. Yang Hao frowned slightly, still somewhat puzzled. However, Xian Hua thought of another layer. Murong Yu, you're saying that the human race has an existence in the top 10 of the holy ranking, and his ranking is even higher than Yu Yangjia? The moment these words came out, Xian Hua was shocked. Yang Hao also looked at Murong Yu with a face full of shock. One had to know that although the top 10 experts on the holy ranking knew their names, their identities were very secretive. And Yu Yangjia was just an exception. After all, he was a disciple of the unbroken path. His name was already there. The people of the 10 holy lands knew it was him the moment they heard it. However, was it possible for the human race to have 10 terrifying existences in the top 10 of the holy ranking? Murong Yu nodded. Moreover, this person was hidden in the human race Great Alliance. However, this person was very powerful, and his concealment ability was even more powerful. Even Murong Yu did not discover him. Of course, this was because Murong Yu did not carefully sense when he entered the human race Great Alliance. However, the layers of fog of Big Dipper Mountain blocked all divine telekinesis probing. Therefore, he could not see anything inside. However, Murong Yu was certain that there was definitely such an expert inside. Hearing Murong Yu's explanation, Yang Hao and Xian Hua could not help but breathe a sigh of relief. Murong Yu was only guessing. He did not believe it. After all, it seemed that even the Phoenix clan did not have such a person. How could the human race have two? The human race Great Alliance does have an expert in the top 10 of the holy ranking. At this moment, a somewhat young voice was heard. At the same time, a figure appeared beside Murong Yu. It was the little lowly carrying a giant axe. Little lowly? Really? Yang Hao and Xian Hua were stunned by the little lowly's words. Xian Hua could not help but ask, "Birdman, what are you talking about? Do you believe that I won't chop you to death with my axe?" Little lowly looked at Xian Hua with an angry look on her face. What she hated the most was others calling her little lowly. What she liked the most was to be called the unparalleled beauty of the heavens and the earth, the moon, the flowers, the fish, and the geese. Xian Hua looked at the huge axe on the little lowly's shoulder and couldn't help but shiver. This giant axe was too strange, and it seemed that the little lowly's ranking on the holy rankings was higher than his. He couldn't even compare to a little girl now. Immediately, Xian Hua looked at the little lowly with a drooling face. Unparalleled beauty in the heavens and the earth, the moon shames the flowers, the fish and the geese fall. May I ask if what you said just now is true? Murong Yu and Yang Hao both staggered and almost fell to the ground. Shameless, how could this guy be so shameless? Therefore, the two of them looked at Xian Hua with disdain. But Xian Hua just chuckled. The little lowly immediately smiled and walked to Xian Hua's side. She wanted to reach out and pat Xian Hua's shoulder. But Xian Hua was tall and strong. She couldn't pat him at all. But Xian Hua was quite cooperative and lowered his body. Shameless. Really too despicable. Murong Yu and Yang Hao were both full of disdain for Xian Hua and did not hesitate to show it. Young man, you did well. You're comparable to Old Black. Little Purple has Old Black, and I've always been envious of her. You can be my Old Black from now on. PFFF, hearing this, Murong Yu spat out. Chapter 1710. The Old Black that the little lowly mentioned was none other than the big black dog. Ever since Little Purple appeared, Little Black was subdued. Not only did he condescend to become Little Purple's exclusive mount, He was also quite obedient. It couldn't be helped. Even the big black dog himself didn't know why he was so afraid of Little Purple. In fact, the little black dog wasn't afraid of Little Purple. Otherwise, he wouldn't be so obedient and willingly become Little Purple's mount. As for the specific reason, the big black dog himself didn't know. The little Loli also didn't want to know the reason. She only knew that the big black dog listened to Little Purple. Therefore, he had always wanted to find a mount. However, after searching for a long time, she still couldn't find one that suited her. At this time, Xian Hua's performance made the little Loli very satisfied. At this time, the little Loli was already fantasizing about riding Xian Hua, the true lord of the evil demon clan, in the sky. Seeing Murong Yu actually spit out, Yang Hao couldn't help but look at him in shock. At the same time, he asked, "Murong Yu, what are you doing? It seems very funny? Do you know who Old Black is?" "He is." Murong Yu smiled and told the relationship between Old Black and Little Purple. After listening, Yang Hao was first stunned, then burst into laughter without caring about his image. And Xian Hua's face turned green. In any case, he was the true lord of the evil demon clan. If he became the little Loli's mount, then he might as well find a piece of tofu and kill himself. Therefore, Xian Hua solemnly said to the little Loli, "Unparalleled beauty in the heavens and the earth, the moon shames the flowers, the fish and the geese fall, the super invincible little beauty, I'm really sorry, but I can't be your friend." The little Loli's smile immediately disappeared. "You really don't want to?" Xian Hua nodded solemnly. When it came to his face and dignity, he would never compromise. The little Loli's face was extremely gloomy as she stared at Xian Hua. Staring at Xian Hua, she was extremely nervous. And Murong Yu was also worried that the little Loli would get angry and kill Xian Hua. Therefore, he was about to speak. However, at this moment, the gloomy expression on the little Loli's face instantly disappeared and was replaced by a radiant smile. "Xian Hua, you will definitely become my mount. I swear that I will make you my mount." Hearing this, Murong Yu and the others breathed a sigh of relief. Especially Xian Hua, who secretly wiped away the cold sweat that had just appeared. The little Loli gave him too much pressure. He was afraid that the little Loli would kill him. This time, Xian Hua no longer dared to casually provoke the little Loli. "Big bad guy, you want to unify the human race. Let me tell you, in the era when the Supremes didn't appear, and when the experts on the Saint rankings dominated, there were at least 2 experts on the Saint rankings who were ranked in the top 10. At least?" Murong Yu and the other 2 were slightly surprised. Did that mean that there were at least 2 humans in the top 10 of the Saint rankings or even more? The little Loli nodded. "Do you know who this Saint ranker of the Human Race Alliance is?" "He's Dongmen Lishuan, ranked 3rd on the Saint rankings." "3rd on the Saint rankings?" Yang Hao and Xian Hua's faces turned green. An expert of this level could easily wipe out the angels and fiends. What was laughable was that they had previously threatened to destroy the Human Race Alliance. This was simply a slap in the face. As their faces turned green, they secretly rejoiced. They rejoiced that Murong Yu hadn't rashly attacked the Human Race Alliance. Otherwise, even Murong Yu would have been killed. Murong Yu's face also turned serious. Even if he had the Xianyuan sword now, he might have the strength to fight against the 4th expert on the Saint rankings, but he definitely wasn't a match for the 3rd expert on the Saint rankings. "I despise you guys too much. I'm not afraid, so what are you afraid of?" Seeing Murong Yu and the other 2's expressions, the little Loli immediately revealed a look of disdain. Murong Yu rolled his eyes. He was now certain that the little Loli was the descendant of some Supremes. Such a person didn't even need to be afraid of Supremes, let alone a mere expert on the Saint rankings. The 3 of them weren't so sure. They had no background and no backing. Moreover, they had families to feed. In particular, Xian Hua and Yang Hao were the true lord ranks of the demons and angels respectively. They could disregard their own lives, but they had to think of their entire race. After all, they weren't like Murong Yu, who could leave in a huff. It would be difficult to find Murong Yu's location even if they wanted to seek revenge. Don't be afraid. That guy listens to me. As long as I'm here, he definitely won't dare to do anything to you. Big Baddie, do you really want to unify the Human Race Alliance? I'll ask him to come forward and give you the position of Alliance leader. The little lowly patted her shriveled chest that had just begun to develop as she vowed solemnly. However, how could Murong Yu and the other two believe her? Seeing Murong Yu and the other two's expressions, the little lowly knew that they wouldn't believe her. Thus, she snorted coldly and took a step forward. Her figure had already disappeared into Hichu Luoshu. Hichu Luoshu could confine most people, but it didn't have any defenses against the little lowly and little purple. They could enter and leave as they pleased. This was what made Murong Yu helpless. Not good. Murong Yu's expression changed slightly. He immediately rushed out of Hichu Luoshu. However, the little lowly had already rushed out of Big Dipper Mountain. Dongmen Lishuan, come out right now. Otherwise, I'll tear apart your Human Race Alliance. The little lowly carried a giant axe on her shoulder and shouted at the Human Race Alliance that was shrouded in layers of fog. Who dares to cause trouble in the Human Race Alliance? Do you have a death wish? Before the little lowly's voice fell, an angry roar came from within Big Dipper Mountain. At the same time, a ferocious giant soared into the sky. He turned into a stream of light and smashed through billions of voids, violently crashing into the little lowly. In fact, Murong Yu even saw the huge man send a fierce punch towards the little lowly while he was still in the air. Murong Yu immediately mourned in his heart. He wasn't mourning for the little lowly, but for the giant. Did he think that the little lowly was easy to bully just because she was a kid? Soon, he would pay the price. As expected, the little lowly was enraged. She didn't even look at the giant as she slashed out with her giant axe. After a puff sound, there was no more after. That expert from the Human Race Alliance had already been killed to the point where not even his ashes were left. After the giant, many people from the Human Race Alliance followed him out. At this time, when they saw the little lowly kill the huge man with a single swing of her axe, they were all stunned. They stopped in their tracks and didn't dare to come closer. However, they had already informed the higher-ups of the Human Race Alliance. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. One figure after another flew out from the great alliance of the human race. The crowd included Feng Yongji and the other holy lords of the various holy lands. There were also the experts from various races who had come to inquire about the situation and hadn't left the Big Dipper Mountain. They all looked at the little lowly in shock. They were all shocked by the little lowly's words. They weren't shocked because the little lowly said that she wanted to destroy the Human Race Alliance. They were shocked because of the name that the little lowly mentioned. Dongmen Lishuan. He was ranked third on the holy rankings. This was an extremely mysterious super expert. Everyone on the saint rankings was extremely familiar with this name. However, almost no one knew who he was or what race he was from. Now that the little lowly suddenly said this, could it be that the person ranked third on the holy rankings was in the Human Race Alliance? Dongmen Lishuan was a human expert? If that was the case, didn't that mean that there were 2 humans in the top 10 of the holy rankings? Unlike the shocked crowd, Feng Yongji and the other holy lords of the various holy lands had extremely ugly expressions. In the entire human race, only holy lords like them had the right to know about Dongmen Lishuan. They all knew how important Dongmen Lishuan was, so they definitely wouldn't reveal it. Then, how did the little lowly find out? Little girl, what are you yelling about? Hurry up and leave. Feng Yongji snorted. He definitely wouldn't admit Dongmen Lishuan's existence now. Originally, they were already filled with anger when their disciples were captured by Murong Yu. Now that Dongmen Lishuan's existence had been exposed, they were even more enraged. Old man, you're the Alliance Master of the Human Race Alliance? Dongmen Lishuan, if you don't come out now, Do you believe that I won't kill this stupid alliance master? The little lowly said arrogantly with her giant axe. Feng Yongji's face immediately darkened. His ranking on the holy rankings was extremely high. Did she think that she could kill him just because she wanted to? This little girl was too arrogant. If it was any other time, he would have just laughed it off. However, there were too many things that had made him angry these past few days. Therefore, how could he be nice to the little lowly? Little girl, where are your parents? If you don't take them back, don't blame me for being rude. A cold light flashed in Murong Yu's eyes. He took a step forward and stood in front of the little lowly. He had already taken out the Xianyuan sword. If Feng Yongji dared to make a move, he would definitely give him a vicious blow. The little lowly was furious. She pulled Murong Yu away and said angrily, I'm so angry. Dongmen Lishuan, since you're not going to come out, I'll destroy your stupid human race alliance. As she spoke, she was about to make a move. Even Murong Yu couldn't stop her in time. Feng Yongji's eyes flashed with a cold light. His body emitted a strong killing intent. He actually wanted to kill the little lowly. It was about to happen. However, just as Murong Yu was about to make a move and Song Tian and the others were secretly increasing their strength, a dramatic scene happened in front of everyone. Sigh, my lady, can't you just let me cultivate in peace? Unknowingly, an extremely handsome young man appeared between Murong Yu and Feng Yongji. However, this young man had a pained and helpless expression on his face. A trace of shock flashed through Murong Yu's eyes. This was because even with the help of the Xianyuan sword, he didn't notice how this young man appeared. Senior brother Dongmen? A series of exclamations could be heard. Feng Yongji and the others were looking at the handsome young man who appeared out of thin air in shock. Chapter 1711. How could Murong Yu and the others not understand when they saw the shocked expression on Feng Yongji and the others' faces? It was obvious that this handsome young man was the backer of the Human Alliance, the third-ranked vicious on the Saint rankings. He was so powerful that even Murong Yu with the Xianyuan sword was no match for him. Therefore, when Murong Yu sensed how powerful Dongmen Lishuan was, he felt goosebumps all over his body. Furthermore, his strength had been raised to the extreme. However, when he heard Dongmen Lishuan's helpless expression, Murong Yu sensed that Dongmen Lishuan did not have any ill intentions towards the little lowly. This was because Murong Yu did not sense any killing intent from Dongmen Lishuan. Otherwise, Murong Yu would have already escaped with the little lowly. However, Murong Yu did not relax. Dongmen Lishuan might not have any ill intentions towards the little lowly. However, he had sensed Feng Yongji's undisguised killing intent. Dongmen Lishuan would not kill the little lowly, but Murong Yu could not guarantee that he would stop Feng Yongji if he attacked. Therefore, Murong Yu was mainly on guard against Feng Yongji and the others. Dongmen Lishuan, have you grown up? You don't even dare to listen to me? Also, your subordinates wanted to kill me earlier. Do you want to give me an explanation? Ignoring Murong Yu, who was on guard, the little lowly glared at Dongmen Lishuan with a furious expression. Dongmen Lishuan, the third-ranked vicious on the Saint rankings. However, he had an awkward expression on his face. He did not even dare to breathe loudly in front of the little lowly. Just where did this little lowly come from? It seems that even the third-ranked vicious listens to her. He's not afraid. Did you see how careful Dongmen Lishuan is? He seems to be very afraid of this little lowly. The surrounding people discussed as they found it unbelievable. In the eyes of the bystanders, the third-ranked vicious on the Saint rankings was very mysterious and powerful. However, Dongmen Lishuan's appearance shocked them. Dongmen Lishuan's relationship with the little lowly must not be simple. Although he seems to be very careful, he must really love the little lowly. Murong Yu thought to himself. He could see more than the bystanders. Although Dongmen Lishuan was being very careful and did not dare to act arrogant towards the little lowly, he was not truly afraid. Since he was not afraid, it meant that he loved her. With me here, who would dare to kill you? Dongmen Lishuan's face was filled with anger when he heard the little lowly's words. Then, he turned his head and looked at Feng Yongji. Feng's Dongmen Lishuan's forehead. If Dongmen Lishuan's Dongmen, Feng's death. Dongmen Lishuan's SSSSSSS. This guy can't really be planning to kill Feng Yongji, right? Murong Yu's face suddenly revealed a trace of astonishment. Lishuan's Lishuan's the Lishuans. Dongmen Lishuan's Lishuan's Yayan Lishuan? Who's behind the little lowly? Murong Yu thought to himself. You and all of you. If anyone dares to harm my great aunt, I don't care who you are or what your background is, I will kill you. I, Dongmen Lishuan, swear to the heavens. After looking at Feng Yongji coldly, Feng Yongji's gaze swept across the crowd as he swore in a cold voice. Shock. Shock. Everyone was shocked. In an instant, everyone's eyes were focused on the little lowly. This is incredible. We must remember this little girl's face and never offend her in the future. Otherwise, no one will be able to withstand the pursuit of Dongmen Lishuan, who is ranked third on the saint rankings. After all, Dongmen Lishuan had already swore to the heavens. No one would doubt whether his words were true or false. That's more like it. Although the little lowly wasn't very satisfied with her violent personality, she couldn't wait for more people to come and kill her. After all, most of them would be killed by her. After hearing Dongmen Lishuan's words, not many people dared to touch the little lowly. However, at least some of the stronger people did not dare to touch the little lowly. Otherwise, they would have to suffer Dongmen Lishuan's wrath. Dongmen Lishuan, I want to be the alliance leader of the Human Race Alliance. What do you think? The little lowly instantly forgot about Feng Yongji and pulled Murong Yu along as she looked at Dongmen Lishuan with a smile. Seeing this, Feng Yongji and the others' hearts skipped a beat. They did not know why, but they had a bad feeling in their hearts. How can the position of Alliance Leader of the Human Race Alliance be taken so easily? Everyone, including Murong Yu, had the same thought. They all thought that Dongmen Lishuan would reject the little lowly's rude request. However, what surprised them was that Dongmen Lishuan agreed without hesitation. Isn't it just the Alliance Leader of the Human Race Alliance? As long as you are a member of the human race, you can take the position. Then, from today onwards, Murong Yu, you will be the Alliance Leader of the Human Race Alliance. Dongmen Lishuan looked at Murong Yu and said formally. Just like that, I became the Alliance Leader of the Human Race Alliance? Murong Yu looked at Dongmen Lishuan in shock. Dongmen Lishuan nodded, as if he was not joking. Senior brother Dongmen. Murong Yu was shocked, but Feng Yongji was anxious. Murong Yu was originally their enemy, but in the blink of an eye, he became their superior. Wasn't this too dramatic? Dongmen Lishuan turned his head and glanced at Feng Yongji and the others. Then, he said, You're not willing? Of course, Feng Yongji and the others were not willing. It was not easy to kick out the Alliance Leader of the Human Race Alliance, but not long after, the position of Alliance Leader was returned to the hands of the Alliance Leader. Most importantly, Murong Yu had captured many of their disciples. I am a fair person. Since you are not willing, you can challenge Murong Yu. As long as you defeat him, you can become the Alliance Leader of the Human Race Alliance. As he said that, Dongmen Lishuan looked at Murong Yu meaningfully. Although Murong Yu was only a Stage 2 Chaotic Ancestor Sage, the aura that he had just released had shocked him. Feng Yongji and the others were indeed strong, but they were definitely not Murong Yu's match. Because of this, Dongmen Lishuan proposed a more fair solution. Otherwise, he would not be able to get past Little Lowly. Feng Yongji and the others were silent. Even if they took out their supreme weapons, they were still not Murong Yu's match. Otherwise, they wouldn't have sullenly accepted Murong Yu's unfair terms. Challenge him? Murong Yu would probably be more than happy for them to challenge him, right? That way, Murong Yu would have the opportunity to kill them openly. However, if they did not challenge him, they would become Murong Yu's subordinates in the future. I admit that I am not Murong Yu's match. Therefore, I will not challenge him. However, what about the matter between us? Can we write it off? Hearing Feng Yongji's words, little Loli was immediately unhappy. Old man, aren't you too shameless? Isn't it just 2 supreme weapons? Do you believe that I will make you take out 3 supreme weapons like Song Tian? Since that is the case, Feng Yongji, take out 3 supreme weapons. Murong Yu, will you let go of the true martial sacred hall's people? Murong Yu was about to collapse from laughter. How could he not be willing? Therefore, he nodded repeatedly. However, Feng Yongji was in for a tragedy. He felt that he had been wronged. Didn't he just say 1 sentence? How come there's another supreme being? Seeing this, Bai Luo and the others did not say anything. In front of Murong Yu, they would also increase their supreme weapons. Only Song Tian was overjoyed at this moment. There was no other reason but because Feng Yongji was the same as him. In the following time, Dongmen Lishuan dismissed the onlookers and entered Tiangang Mountain with Murong Yu, Feng Yongji, and the others. In a daze, Murong Yu took over the entire Human Race Alliance and became the Alliance Master of the Human Race Alliance. However, for the time being, Murong Yu's position as Alliance Master was nothing more than a decoration. This was because the 9 great saint lands would not listen to his commands. If these people did not cause trouble for Murong Yu behind his back, Murong Yu would be happy. Under Dongmen Lishuan's power, except for Song Tian, everyone handed over the saint artifacts that Murong Yu had requested. What surprised Murong Yu was that the true martial temple was indeed a rich and overbearing saint lands. Feng Yongji actually took out 3 supreme weapons that did not recognize an owner. It was not difficult for the other saint lands to take out 2 supreme weapons. Song Tian was the only one who dilly-dallied. In the end, he even left the Astral Mountain without giving Murong Yu a single supreme weapon. However, Murong Yu was not in a hurry. In any case, most of the people on Cloud-Piercing Island were in his hands. He was not afraid that Song Tian would not exchange. Alliance leader, I will take my leave first. If you have any orders in the future, immediately send a message to me. Our true martial temple will definitely rush over as soon as possible. After Murong Yu took over the Human Race Alliance, Feng Yongji took the disciples of the true martial temple and left. Our Tiangang sect is also going back. The others all said their goodbyes and went back. Murong Yu, I will remember this. If you need any help in the future, just let us know. Our unparalleled palace will definitely do it. Other than unparalleled palace Master Lin Gyun, who was sincere, Murong Yu did not care about the words of the other Saint Lands Saint Lords. These guys hated Murong Yu to death. Why would they listen to his orders? The 2 supreme weapons and their countless years of savings were all in Murong Yu's pocket. They really wanted to return to their respective treasure vault. However, would Murong Yu give it to them? Absolutely not. Therefore, they left with an intense hatred for Murong Yu. As for the unparalleled palace, not only did Murong Yu release all their disciples, he even returned the 2 supreme weapons and their treasure vault untouched. Chapter 1712. Other than Cloud-Piercing Island, everyone from the 9 great holy lands had left Sky Dipper Mountain. No one knew where Song Tian had gone. Many disciples from Cloud-Piercing Island were still imprisoned in Hichu Luoshu. Even Xian Hua, Yang Hao, and the rest had been sent back by Murong Yu. After all, they were the true lord rank of the angel race and the evil demon race. This time, in order to help Murong Yu, almost all the experts on the saint ranking had been mobilized. It wasn't a problem for them to leave for a short period of time. However, if they stayed for a long time, their race would be in danger. After all, even if they were all sacred clans, each race wasn't very good. Stories of devouring other races were happening almost every day. This meant that Murong Yu was the only one left in Sky Dipper Mountain. Dongmen Lishuan had already left and the little loli had been captured by him. Of course, he hadn't really captured her. Sky Dipper Mountain's mountain protecting array is not bad. If it's fully activated, even an honorable martial artist wouldn't be able to destroy it. At this moment, Murong Yu was floating in the sky of Sky Dipper Mountain alone. Looking down at Sky Dipper Mountain, a satisfied smile appeared on his face. The more powerful the array, the more terrifying the resources it would consume after activation. Before this, because no one knew that it was because of the Human Race Alliance, no experts came to attack Sky Dipper Mountain. Moreover, even if there were experts who attacked Sky Dipper Mountain, they would be killed or repelled by the experts of the Human Race Alliance. Therefore, the Human Race Alliance's mountain protecting array had never been activated. It was because of this that when Feng Tsangqiong attacked back then, it seemed so weak. With a thought, the Mountain Sea secret realm separated from the Mountain Sea scripture. Then, under Murong Yu's control, it appeared in Sky Dipper Mountain. At this moment, Shenzhen was absolutely safe. First of all, with the protection of Sky Dipper Mountain's mountain protecting array, ordinary people wouldn't be able to break it. Even if the mountain protecting array was destroyed, they still had the Mountain Sea secret realm. It could be said to be extremely safe. However, Shenzhen and the others could only stay in the Mountain Sea secret realm. A thought flashed through Murong Yu's mind. He then summoned the Mountain Sea Scripture's artifact spirit, the Mountain Sea Scripture, and asked, "Mountain Sea, is there a way to merge the Mountain Sea secret plane and the space inside Tiangang Mountain?" The Mountain Sea condensed into a human form and shook his head. After all, they are two different spaces. It is impossible for them to truly merge. It could only be a partial fusion. Furthermore, once it fused with this space, it would no longer be able to return to the Mountain and Sea Scripture. In other words, he would not be able to take them away in the future. Holy Lord, are you sure you want to fuse with it? Murong Yu shook his head. If that was the case, then the losses would outweigh the gains. The precious thing about the Mountain Sea secret realm was that it could be taken away at any time. If it was fixed and couldn't be taken away, he might as well not have it. I can only build a teleportation tunnel between the Mountain Sea mystic realm and the Big Dipper Mountain. Although the essence chi of heaven and earth in the Mountain Sea secret realm is not bad, it is an independent space after all. It is inferior to the holy world. Murong Yu thought to himself as he began to build a teleportation array. To the current Murong Yu, building a teleportation array was just a small matter. Therefore, it did not take more than 2 hours to complete the construction. When they heard the news, the entire Shenzhen cheered. Although the Mountain Sea secret realm was huge, it was an independent space after all. Moreover, they couldn't enter and leave freely. Now, not only did they have the Big Dipper Mountain, but they could also leave the Big Dipper Mountain and walk around the Holy World. Of course, leaving the Big Dipper sect meant that they would be killed or captured by others. At the beginning, Murong Yu had told everyone in Shenzhen that they would no longer restrict their freedom. They could enter and leave the Big Dipper Mountain freely. However, if they were killed or captured outside and used to threaten Shenzhen, Murong Yu wouldn't care. They had to bear the risks themselves. After all, Murong Yu had already done his best. No matter how good it was, Murong Yu didn't know how to do it, nor did he have the energy to do it. Murong, if we let them enter and leave freely like this, won't others be able to enter and leave freely once they know how to enter and leave? If that's the case, Shenzhen won't be safe at all. In the Great Hall that originally belonged to the Human Clan Alliance, Murong Yu, Zhao Jiqing, the higher-ups of Shenzhen, Hu Yanninghao, and the other disciples of the Unbroken Path were all gathered here. The person who spoke was Zhao Jiqing. I've already considered this point. Therefore, the souls of all Shenzhen's disciples must be imprinted in the entire formation. Only those who read the soul imprint can enter. Otherwise, they will be killed immediately by the formation, Murong Yu replied with a smile. He had already considered this point. Although it's much safer this way, we can't completely eliminate them. Once their souls are controlled, outsiders can also enter. The eldest disciple of the unbroken path, Zhong Mingji, said with a frown. In this regard, Murong Yu could only express his helplessness. Not to mention a mere formation, even Supremes wouldn't be able to tell that those whose souls were controlled by Murong Yu were in the same place. Although the formation was set up by a Supremes, they weren't Supremes, right? No matter how many people come, we'll just kill them all, Murong Yu said with a faint smile. He didn't seem worried at all. Junior brother, what's the plan next? Lu Xiankai asked. Although Murong Yu was now the alliance master of the human clan alliance, the way the unbroken path addressed Murong Yu hadn't changed. Shengzhen and the others also didn't change the way they addressed him. In their eyes, Murong Yu was still their junior brother and holy master. Even if Murong Yu really united the human clan in the future and became the master of the human clan, he would still be their junior brother and holy master. Murong Yu didn't answer immediately. Instead, he organized his words and said, "Next, we have two things to do. The first is to increase our strength. Whether it's you, me, or the entire Shengzhen, we have to increase our strength. Now that the situation is turbulent, everything depends on us." Murong Yu was a little worried. Why? He felt that the Holy Clan and the Devil Clan were getting restless. After all, the Holy Clan had never given up on destroying the human clan. Although the Devil Clan had once been allies with the human clan, they would definitely destroy the human clan if they had the chance. After all, no one would complain about having more territory. Zhong Mingji and the others nodded. Their thoughts were similar to Murong Yu's. However, Murong Yu's next words shocked them so much that they almost fell to the ground. "My requirements are very low. Everyone here must rush into the holy rankings." Plop! Before Murong Yu could finish his sentence, Huyen Yinghao stumbled and fell to the ground. "Little junior brother, aren't you being a little too forceful?" Zhong Mingji said with a troubled expression. The others nodded in agreement. Not to mention the experts on the holy rankings, even Supremes and Sovereigns would want to reach that level. However, there were only so many experts of this level. It was too difficult for them to rush in. After all, they were all immortal existences. Unless the experts on the holy rankings died, they would usually stay on the holy rankings for a long time. You must make increasing your cultivation your lifelong goal. Of course, if you only work hard, you won't be able to become an expert on the holy rankings. Try everything you can to find treasures of heaven and earth like the heart of the ocean. If you have any news, I and the entire Shengzhen will support you. Moreover, I will do my best to help you. Everyone was still speechless. How many treasures like the heart of the ocean and the heart of ice were there in the Holy Realm? Even if they did exist, it would be extremely difficult to discover them. Alright, let's not talk about this for now. Let's talk about the second matter. Am I not the alliance leader of the Human Race Alliance now? Although I can't command the other 8 Holy Lands now, we must control the ordinary factions as soon as possible. They will be an extremely powerful force when united. Everyone nodded. The human race wasn't weak. But why were they always suppressed by the sacred race? The reason was that the human race wasn't united. How much power could they have when they were scattered like sand? Every Holy Land has a large number of factions attached to them. And there are even weaker forces attached to the Holy Land's subsidiary forces, and so on and so forth, and it continues to extend. Let's not touch these factions first. Let's win over the factions that aren't part of the 8 Holy Lands. Let's start with the factions attached to the Infernal Society. I'll leave this matter to you, senior brothers. Murong Yu looked at Zhong Mingji and the others. Zhong Mingji and the others were overjoyed. In the past, they were stronger than Murong Yu, but they were quickly surpassed by Murong Yu. What made them depressed was the fact that they'd always been protected by Murong Yu. This made them feel a little hurt. After all, the strong didn't want to live under the wings of others forever. Therefore, they were very happy that they had a chance to help Morongyu. We don't have to do anything, and people are already coming to submit. Let's go out and take a look. Morongyu suddenly stood up and disappeared from the main hall. Everyone also disappeared from the main hall. When Morongyu and the others appeared outside Big Dipper Mountain, they discovered that there were tens of thousands of experts standing outside. These people all had dignified expressions and powerful auras. It was obvious that they were people who had been in power for a long time. As soon as Morongyu appeared, these people all knelt down as if they had discussed this beforehand. We pay our respects to the alliance leader. Morongyu, Zhongmingji, and the others all had strange expressions on their faces. These people were obviously here to submit. However, Morongyu had never seen them before. However, since they were here to submit, Morongyu naturally wouldn't reject them. Therefore, a bright smile bloomed on his face like a flower. Everyone, there's no need to be so polite. Please come in. As he spoke, the layers of fog suddenly split open, and Morongyu, Zhongmingji, and the others walked in first. The leaders of the factions who had come to submit also rushed in without any hesitation. Before they submitted, they had already decided to hug Morongyu's thigh. They had considered all the possibilities that could arise. Therefore, even if Morongyu wanted to control them, they wouldn't hesitate. Chapter 1713. Within the main hall of the Human Race Alliance. At this moment, apart from Morongyu, the Infernal Society, and Shenzhen's higher-ups, there were the factions that had come to surrender. There were not many of them, only around 100 or so. However, these 100 or so were all peak factions within the human race. Moreover, they were all peak factions that had no relationship with the other sacred land. This included the Heaven-Suppressing Sect, which Morongyu had enmity with. The Heaven-Suppressing Sect's strength was very close to that of a sacred land, and they also had experts on the saint rankings. However, they were far inferior to the experts on the saint rankings. After all, the 10 sacred lands all had experts in the top 100 of the saint rankings. Most importantly, the Heaven-Suppressing Sect did not have a sovereign artifact. Otherwise, the human race would not be the 10 sacred lands, but the 11 sacred lands. Of course, the 10 sacred lands only had a few sovereign artifacts, and it would be extremely difficult for the Heaven-Suppressing Sect to obtain one. Moreover, the Heaven-Suppressing Sect was not the strongest among the factions that had come to surrender. There were a few other peak factions that were similar to the Heaven-Suppressing Sect. In actuality, they were all peak factions that had come. This was because even if the weaker factions wanted to surrender, it would not be their turn yet. However, after this matter spread out, the factions that came to surrender would greatly increase. In response, Morongyu could only express his incomparable welcome. He did not threaten or intimidate them. These people had all taken the initiative to pledge their allegiance to Morongyu. All Morongyu needed to do was to sincerely accept them. If he controlled their souls or intimidated them, he would never be able to obtain the world or the hearts of the people. Just like Morongyu, he had used violence to rule, and then used benevolence to rule. Only then would he be able to obtain the recognition of the people. Everyone who had come to surrender could feel Morongyu's sincerity, so they all relaxed. At this moment, Morongyu told everyone about his reforms. Even though the Human Race Alliance had all sorts of systems, they were all outdated. For example, the position of Alliance Master was actually rotated, even though each Alliance Master would have an epoch of time. However, Morongyu found that every time a new Alliance Master took office, they would drastically change the system, causing the entire Human Race Alliance to be in chaos. There was no cohesion at all. Most importantly, such a Alliance Master did not have any decision-making power. This was because the other sacred lands did not listen. As such, after Morongyu took office, he began to think of all sorts of systems. The Alliance Master will have an Alliance Master, who will have the most decision-making power and the most authority. I will temporarily be the Alliance Master. Murong Yu swept his gaze across everyone present and began to explain his system and plan. Under the Alliance Master, there will be 2 Vice Alliance Vice Masters. Vice Alliance's internal affairs. There is no conflict of power between the two sides. Their role is to do their part and assist the leader in ruling the Human Race Alliance. Hearing Murong Yu's words, Yu Mengqing, Glory Sect, and the others couldn't help but roll their eyes. To put it nicely, Murong Yu was dividing the power. To put it bluntly, these 2 Vice Alliance Masters were definitely set up by Murong Yu to make it easier for him to just leave the work to others. Seeing the smiles on everyone's faces, the controllers of the various peak powers who had come to surrender felt baffled. Murong Yu, on the other hand, knew the meaning behind their smiles. Thus he laughed dryly. Just as everyone thought, the existence of the 2 Vice Alliance Masters was set up by him to handle the affairs of the Human Race Alliance. He did not have too much time to manage the Human Race Alliance. As for the Vice Alliance Masters, they will be Murong Xian and Li Ling. Murong Yu glanced at everyone again and said in a deep voice. Thud. Before Murong Yu could finish speaking, an extremely discordant sound of a heavy object falling to the ground echoed through the hall. Everyone looked in the direction of the sound and saw a handsome young man jumping up from the ground. Who else could this handsome young man be but Li Ling? Senior brother, why are you so excited? Gu Kai smiled foolishly and asked Li Ling in confusion. Li Ling was Murong Yu's first disciple, and Gu Kai was Murong Yu's second disciple in the desolate world. He had a pure heart. His cultivation speed was not inferior to Li Ling's war sage constitution. At this moment, both of them were peak Chaos Ancestral Saints and could charge into the Saint rankings at any time. Li Ling glared at Gu Kai. Junior brother, do you think I fell because I was excited? Isn't that so? I think you're quite suitable to be the Vice Alliance Master with your ability. Gu Kai scratched his head and smiled foolishly. This made Li Ling speechless. Master, this is too unfair. Our Human Race Alliance has many experts on the Saint rankings, right? I'm not qualified to be the Vice Alliance Master. I think Martial Uncle Yin Gaoan is very suitable for this position. Otherwise, Master's wife can do it too. Li Ling stood up and immediately refused. What kind of person is this? Seeing Li Ling refuse the position of the Vice Alliance Master, the leaders of the forces who came to surrender were in a mess. Although the Vice Alliance Master was not the Alliance Master, he was still a powerful figure. Others could not do it even if they wanted to, but there was someone who refused? However, compared to those people, Shengzhen and the others had long expected this scene. Li Ling had the ability of a leader. With his ability, he was fully qualified to be the Vice Alliance Master. However, this guy was the same as Murong Yu. He wanted to be a hands-off shopkeeper. Murong Yu faintly smiled. He already knew that Li Ling would have such a reaction. However, since he had already done everything, how could he let Li Ling refuse? Besides, at this stage, no one was more suitable to be the Vice Alliance Master than Murong Xian, and Li Ling. Murong Xian was steady and reliable and could handle the internal affairs. On the other hand, Li Ling had the divine war physique, and was suitable to be the commander of the army. It would be a waste if he did not become the Vice Alliance Master. Thus, Murong Yu smiled and said, Li Ling, you don't have to be the Vice Alliance Master. Li Ling was overjoyed. Just as he was about to thank Murong Yu's following words made him roll his eyes. You don't have to be the Vice Alliance Master. Then go into seclusion immediately. If you don't have the strength of the top 10 on the holy rankings, you don't have to come out. Haha. Li Ling's expression changed slightly. Master, I was just joking. I'll be the Vice Alliance Master. Junior Murong Xian and I will definitely manage the great alliance of the human race well. Li Ling did not want to be the Vice Alliance Master mainly because he did not want to be restrained. Murong Yu's words were too lethal. Who knew if Li Ling had the strength of the top 10 on the holy rankings? If he did not have that strength, then wouldn't he never be able to come out? Under the Vice Alliance Master, there are the Elder Hall, Law Protector Hall, Punishment Hall, Achievement Hall, Welfare Hall and Mission Hall. After confirming the Vice Alliance Master, Murong Yu continued. The Elder Hall had 10 Grand Elders. They would jointly manage all matters within the sect. Other than the Grand Elders, there was also a Hall Master. This person was Zhong Mingji. Under the Grand Elders, there were 100 ordinary elders. They were the middle-level leaders of the Elder Hall. Zhong Mingji had the ability to coordinate the overall situation. He was the best person to control the Elder Hall. The Law Protector Hall was similar to the Elder Hall. However, it was different from the Elder Hall. The Law Protector Hall was for external matters. It was for external matters. Any people or forces that came to attack the Human Race Alliance or the Human Race Alliance would be dealt with by the Law Protector Hall. Other than the Hall Master, the Law Protector Hall had 10 Grand Protectors and 100 ordinary Protectors. It was the same as the Elder Hall. The Law Protector Hall was meant to protect the Human Race Alliance. The Hall Master of the Law Protector Hall was Yin Gaohan. With Yin Gaohan's personality and methods, he was the best candidate for this position. The Punishment Hall mainly dealt with the internal matters of the Human Race Alliance. Of course, it could also deal with matters outside of the Human Race Alliance. The Punishment Hall had 10 Grand Deacons and 100 ordinary deacons. The main Hall Master was the impartial Zhao Jiqing. The Achievement Hall could only record the merits and punishments of the disciples. As for the Welfare Hall, it was in charge of the distribution of the Human Race Alliance's various benefits. For example, pills, saint artifacts and various other things. The Hall Master was Mu Liuet. Finally, there was the Mission Hall. As the name implied, the Mission Hall was in charge of distributing various missions and rewards. Among them, the Achievement Hall Master was Yu Mengqing. The Hall Master of the Mission Hall was Zhang Ao. These two halls were the same as the Law Protector Hall. Under the Hall Master were the 10 Grand Deacons and 100 ordinary deacons. Other than the Hall Masters, Murong Yu also appointed the 10 Grand Elders, Law Protectors and Grand Deacons. These people were all Murong Yu's most loyal and devoted subordinate. After all, Murong Yu wanted absolute authority over the Human Race Alliance in his hands. As for the 100 ordinary Grand Elders, Law Protectors and Deacons, Murong Yu only appointed a few of them. However, the requirements were relatively high. They had to be at least peak Primal Chaos Ancestor Saint. It would be even better if they were experts on the Saint rankings. 6 halls, a total of 600 ordinary Grand Elders, Law Protectors and Deacons. Murong Yu only appointed a portion of them. 10 of the people who had come to defect had been appointed. Moreover, these ordinary deacons had all come to defect. None of Shenzhen and the rest of the infernal agents could take up the mantle. Although they were only ordinary mid-level leaders, those who had been appointed were all unable to contain their excitement. One had to know that the Human Race Alliance wanted to unify the entire human race. In Big Dipper Mountain, they were only mid-level leaders. However, in the eyes of the entire human race, their statuses were incredible. At the very least, it was 1,000,000 times more impressive than their current positions. They were all people with real power. Although those who hadn't been appointed were envious, they weren't discouraged. This was because Murong Yu had clearly said that he still couldn't sense their loyalty. Moreover, these ordinary Grand Elders, Law Protectors and Deacons were all prepared for them. In other words, they all had the chance to become deacons of the Human Race Alliance. Chapter 1714. In fact, the Great Alliance of the human race had more than just these leadership positions. There were other positions below ordinary deacons. Moreover, these positions were only for the headquarters of the Great Alliance of the human race. In addition to the headquarters, The Great Alliance of the human race had 108 branches scattered throughout the human race. They were the 36 branches of the Heavenly Spirit Division and the 72 branches of the Earthly Fiend Division. However, these 108 branches had not been officially established yet. They were only part of Murong Yu's plan. After all, the current Great Alliance of the human race was not a true alliance. There were more than 100 peak forces that had come to defect. Apart from them, the forces controlled by the 9 great holy lands could not defect at all. They had the opportunity to become deacons of the Great Alliance of the human race, as well as branch masters of the 108 branches. When this news spread from the mouths of those who had defected, the entire human race was in an uproar. Have you heard? As long as you are sincere in your loyalty and join the Great Alliance of the human race, not only will you have the opportunity to become an official, you will also be able to enjoy the benefits of the Great Alliance of the human race. There are all kinds of cultivation methods, all kinds of pills, and even sacred artifacts. Cultivation methods. What do we rogue cultivators lack the most? Cultivation methods, pills, and sacred artifacts. And I heard that the Great Alliance of the human race can also open up those high-level cultivation methods. Those cultivation methods originally belonged to the 9 Great Holy Land. They are cultivation methods and battle skills that only the core disciples of the 9 Great Holy Lands can cultivate. Now, as long as we join the Great Alliance of the human race and have enough contributions, we can directly cultivate these cultivation methods. Even if we become the most ordinary disciple of the Great Alliance of the human race, we will still enjoy a certain amount of pills, saint crystals, and other benefits. It's better than risking our lives every day. Brothers, what are we waiting for? If we don't join the Great Alliance of the human race now, when will we? Thus, countless hot-blooded rogue cultivators rushed towards the 108 branches of the Great Alliance of the human race. Although these branches had not been fully formed, Murong Yu had already divided them up. Temporary branch strongholds were set up in 100 different cities. These 108 branches were located in different locations and connected to each other. Eventually, the entire human race would be under their control. Apart from rogue cultivators, the stronger and weaker forces began to defect and join the Great Alliance of the human race. He believed that it wouldn't be long before all forces other than those controlled by the 9 Great Holy Lands would join the Human Race Alliance. Murong Yu had already appointed the candidates for the various positions. Therefore, he didn't need to do these things. His subordinates were already doing a good job. Bang! I'm so angry. Murong Yu, that bastard, actually used our resources and our cultivation techniques to buy the hearts of everyone in the world. Damn it! Damn it! In a hall in the depths of true martial temple, an expert was furious and roared repeatedly. Other than the unparalleled palace's treasury, which was returned by Murong Yu, the rest of the 9 great saint lands were all seized by him. However, Murong Yu still managed to copy all the techniques from the unparalleled palace. Coupled with the treasury of the Human Race Alliance, Murong Yu was being generous right now. However, there was nothing they could do. Should I just snatch it back? They didn't dare. Not only were they no match for Murong Yu, but there were also 2 super terrifying existences behind Murong Yu. The 10th on the saint rankings, Yu Yangjia, and the 3rd on the saint rankings, Dongmen Lishuan. The relationship between the 2 was not something they could guess. They didn't even dare to stop the expansion of the Human Race Alliance, let alone take back their treasures. Therefore, they could only watch as countless saints and forces joined the Human Race Alliance. If this continued, the 9 great saint lands would be weakened. In the future, the human race would only have the Human Race Alliance as their only saint land. The 9 great saint lands would be reduced to ordinary forces. They couldn't be compared to the Human Race Alliance at all. Especially now that Murong Yu still had more than 10 supreme weapons. What angered the 9 great saint lands the most was that Murong Yu had already distributed those supreme weapons to Shenzhen's suitable disciples. With the help of Murong Yu's time acceleration, those supreme weapons had all been successfully recognized as their masters. Murong Yu had obtained 15 supreme weapons from the 9 great saint lands, plus 2 from the infernal path, Murong Yu and Zhao Jiqing's saint weapons. Now, Shenzhen had more than 20 supreme weapons. In other words, the Human Race Alliance would have 20 supreme weapons from now on. This was extremely terrifying. Feng Yongji, aren't you angry? If the true martial temple wanted to attack the Human Race Alliance, the Human Race Alliance wouldn't be so impressive. In the main hall, Song Tian looked at Feng Yongji with a cold expression. He was the one who had just roared. Song Tian, if there's nothing else, you should go back and redeem your disciples. I'm going into seclusion. Feng Yongji looked at Song Tian indifferently. What Song Tian didn't notice was that Feng Yongji's eyes were filled with disdain and contempt. Feng Yongji already knew why Song Tian was here. Before coming to the true martial temple, Song Tian had already visited the other great saint lands. Their goal was the same, to persuade the other great saint lands to deal with Song Tian. However, the great saint lands didn't agree. Now, as long as there wasn't water in their brains, they wouldn't go against Murong Yu openly. That would be courting death. The other great saint lands were fine, but when Song Tian arrived at Unparalleled Palace, Lin Guyun, who already knew why Song Tian was here, directly threw him out. Feng Yongji's attitude was pretty good. In the end, Song Tian was thrown out of the true martial temple by Feng Yongji. You cowardly bastards, one day I'll torture you to death. Murong Yu, Feng Yongji, just you wait. I'll make you regret it. Song Tian glared at the true martial temple viciously, then quickly disappeared. The 9 great saint lands didn't play any tricks, and the Human Race Alliance's strength was growing at an extremely terrifying speed. At this moment, Murong Yu frowned slightly. The fire-eyed golden ape had already returned to his tribe in the demon race a long time ago. At this moment, his cultivation level had already reached the peak chaotic ancestor saint realm. However, he didn't return immediately. A few days ago, he thought of a way to send a message to Murong Yu. Recently, the demon race had been acting strangely, and it seemed like they were going to send out troops. However, the fire-eyed golden ape couldn't say. He didn't know the more important things. Therefore, Murong Yu didn't know if the demon race was going to attack the human race or the sacred race. He only knew that the demon race was definitely not weaker than the human race. On the contrary, to a certain extent, they were even stronger than the human race. After all, the human race wasn't unified. If it were the demon race, they would have been unified long ago. Once the demon race sent out troops against the human race alliance might not be a match. After all, not only would the forces belonging to the 9 great saint lands not do anything, but they might even stab Murong Yu in the back. As for the sacred race, Murong Yu hadn't received any news about this for the time being. Because everyone related to Murong Yu was in seclusion. Murong Yu's clone was in seclusion, trying to break through to the saint rankings. Relying on the Sun Sutra, Murong Yu's clone had already surpassed himself. Once he came out of seclusion, he would definitely charge into the saint rankings. Xian Hua was also in seclusion to consolidate his cultivation and strive to increase his ranking on the saint rankings. As for Yang Hao, he hadn't obtained the angel's heart yet, but he was also working hard on his cultivation. Without these 2 patriarchs, Murong Yu had no way of knowing if the sacred race was planning to send out troops. Murong Yu also told Shenzhen and all the disciples of the Great Saint Alliance to improve their strength as quickly as possible. Murong Yu had also entered seclusion. Right now, Murong Yu's actual standing was comparable to the top 10 on the saint rankings. Once he used the Xianyuan sword to improve his cultivation, Murong Yu would have the strength to fight against the 4th on the saint rankings. However, his ranking was only around 90,000. Murong Yu guessed that using external forces to temporarily improve one's strength wouldn't change one's ranking on the saint rankings. Moreover, cultivation seemed to determine one's ranking on the saint rankings. Otherwise, with Murong Yu's current soul cultivation, it would be impossible for him to be ranked in the 90,000. A 7-star soul was already extremely high. After many years of seclusion, Murong Yu vaguely guessed that his soul cultivation had probably reached its limit. A 7-star soul corresponded to the primal chaos ancestor saint realm. Once he broke through, he would reach the supreme realm and become a soul supreme. However, Murong Yu knew that it would be impossible for him to break through this last step in a short period of time. Therefore, he could only improve his cultivation now. In front of Shenzhen and the Infernal Society, Murong Yu was only a 2nd-stage primal chaos ancestor saint realm. It was simply too weak. For a time, Murong Yu felt ashamed. As their sacred master and alliance leader, his cultivation was actually far inferior to theirs. Murong Yu guessed that if he could reach the peak of the primal chaos ancestor saint realm, his ranking on the saint rankings would charge into the top 100. He might even charge into the top 10 or even the top 3. However, after a period of seclusion, Murong Yu realized gloomily that he couldn't calm down to cultivate anymore. If he wanted to advance from the 2nd-stage primal chaos ancestor saint realm to the 3rd-stage primal chaos ancestor saint realm, he would need an extremely long time to have enough strength to break through. At the very least, he would need to refine a few supreme weapons before he could break through. However, Murong Yu didn't have any extra supreme weapons on hand. Looks like it's time to leave the human race and explore other places. Murong Yu helplessly stopped Hichu Luoshu's time acceleration and appeared in Big Dipper Mountain. Alliance leader, there's a self-proclaimed old friend of yours outside. He's called Lu Haotsong and he's here to seek an audience. He said that he has an extremely urgent matter. We didn't let him see us, so he made a scene. However, we didn't dare to do anything to him. What do you think, Alliance leader? As soon as Murong Yu appeared, a deacon of the Human Race Alliance walked over and bowed respectfully to Murong Yu before speaking hastily. Lu Haotsong? Quickly invite him over. Murong Yu's eyes lit up as he took a step forward and disappeared on the spot. The deacon of the Human Race Alliance couldn't help but secretly wipe away the cold sweat on his forehead when he saw Murong Yu's reaction. Fortunately, he didn't do anything to Lu Haotsong. Otherwise, Murong Yu would have slapped him to death. Chapter 1715. In the Big Dipper Mountain, in front of the layers of fog, a figure was walking back and forth anxiously. While walking, he looked into the depths of the fog with an anxious expression. This person was Lu Haotsong. In order to avoid being hunted down, he was forced to hide in the chaotic secret plane. When Murong Yu accidentally entered the chaotic secret plane, he met him. Later, with the help of Lu Haotsong, Murong Yu obtained a large number of chaotic saint veins. In the end, Murong Yu even entered the holy world with the help of Lu Haotsong. Otherwise, if he had ascended, he would have been taken down by the Human Race Alliance long ago. How could he have the glory and status he had today? It could be said that although Lu Haotsong was only an undead stage saint, he was of great help to Murong Yu. Naturally, Murong Yu wasn't someone who didn't know how to be grateful. Therefore, when he knew that Lu Haotsong had come, he rushed out immediately. I don't know if this Murong Yu is the Murong Yu from before? I hope it's him, otherwise. Lu Haotsong was anxious, but his face was a little gloomy. He had no choice but to do so. In the holy world, the only person he could ask for help was the leader of the Human Race Alliance, who seemed to be an old friend. If this Murong Yu was not that Murong Yu, Lu Haotsong would definitely be miserable. A mere profound sage dares to say that he is a friend of the leader of the Human Race Alliance? I am Murong Yu's brother. Ha ha. At this moment, an arrogant voice sounded in Lu Haotsong's ears. The tone was full of disdain. Lu Haotsong was not the only one outside the Big Dipper Mountain. At this time, the outside of the Big Dipper Mountain was very lively. It could be said that there was a sea of people. These people were all here to try their luck and see if they could be accepted as a disciple by the powerhouses of the Human Race Alliance. Then, he soared into the sky. Lu Haotsong turned his head abruptly and glared at the sage who had spoken. But that was all. Lu Haotsong did not have any further reaction. Because he was not in the mood to do so, nor did he have the strength to do so. The one who had mocked him earlier was an ancient sage, an entire realm higher than him. Lu Haotsong was no match for him. What? Do you still dare to refuse? Are you courting death? Oh, that's right, you're an old friend of the Alliance, master of the human race. Who would dare to touch you? The ancient sage chuckled and continued to taunt. The people beside Lu Haotsong also sneered. In their eyes, Lu Haotsong's method had been used by countless people. It was really too low-level. In the end, all of them were blown away. Lu Haotsong also felt a little uneasy. He only looked anxiously at the interior of Tiangang Mountain and ignored those fools. Swoosh! Just as Lu Haotsong was hesitating, a figure appeared beside him out of thin air. Old Lu, what's going on? Why didn't you inform me before you came? The person who had appeared was Murong Yu. At this moment, he was looking at Lu Haotsong with a smile. Lu Haotsong was stunned at first. Then, he was overjoyed. Murong Yu, I didn't expect it to be you. I didn't expect you to become the Alliance Master of the Human Race Alliance. Murong Yu didn't say anything and merely smiled in response. Plop. However, just as Murong Yu was smiling, Lu Haotsong accidentally knelt in front of him. Murong Yu was shocked. Lu Haotsong had helped him so much. He had long regarded Lu Haotsong as his old friend. There was no need to kneel between friends. Moreover, even if he was a slave whose soul was controlled by Murong Yu did not need him to kneel. With a thought, a huge and gentle force exploded from Murong Yu's body and directly enveloped Lu Haotsong. Under the effect of this huge force, Lu Haotsong was lifted up. Then, Murong Yu took a step forward and disappeared with Lu Haotsong. What's going on? The ancient sage who had mocked Lu Haotsong previously rubbed his eyes and then looked at the ancient sage next to him in confusion. Lu Haotsong was still here a moment ago. Why did he suddenly appear? And it seemed like he was taken away by someone? What surprised this ancient sage the most was that the black-robed young man who had appeared out of thin air seemed a little familiar. Don't you think that the black-robed young man looked a little similar to the Alliance Master? Just as the ancient sage was feeling bewildered, a sage not far away from him asked, "What do you mean by a little similar? That was the Alliance Master, okay? You must be blind. You can't even recognize the Alliance Master." An ancient sage said proudly, his eyes full of disdain for the people beside him. "Are you sure that was the Alliance Master of the Human Race Alliance?" Someone asked in disbelief. "Nonsense, I had the honor of meeting the Alliance Master once. Are you doubting my judgment?" The ancient sage immediately flew into a rage. He was very angry at the person who doubted his judgment. Plop! Before the ancient sage finished his sentence, the sound of a heavy object falling to the ground rang out. Everyone turned to look at the source of the sound, only to see that the ancient sage who had mocked Lu Haotsong earlier had already fallen to the ground. That person is actually the Alliance Master's old friend. I actually mocked him just now. The ancient sage's face was pale and his voice was trembling. His eyes were full of fear. "You're finished. You've offended the Alliance Master's old friend. If I were you, I would immediately run as far as I can," the ancient sage said mockingly. "Yes, I will run immediately." The ancient sage stood up with a pale face. Then, without looking back, he smashed through the void and quickly flew into the distance. Seeing this, the spectators were stunned. Then, they all fell silent. They sympathized with the ancient sage. Wasn't he courting death? It was a classic case of courting death. Do you think the Alliance Master will kill him? An ancient sage approached the ancient sage who had spoken just now. The Alliance Master is a magnanimous person. Why would he care so much? However, I don't know about his friend, the ancient sage said without hesitation. Back in the main hall, Morong Yu looked at Lu Haotsong with an ugly expression. Old Lu, what happened? This guy actually knelt down just now. In Morong Yu's mind, Lu Haotsong was definitely a strong person. Back then, when he was chased into the primal chaos secret plane, he was still so strong. Morong Yu had never seen him complain. But today, he actually knelt down. Lu Haotsong must have encountered something urgent and unsolvable. Morong Yu, please save my wife and child. You are the only one who can save them now. I beg you. Lu Haotsong said and was about to kneel down. Wife and child? Morong Yu looked at Lu Haotsong in surprise. At the same time, he supported Lu Haotsong, not letting him kneel again. What he found strange was that Lu Haotsong didn't have a family. Did he marry this wife and child after returning to the Holy World? However, this wasn't a problem. Since it was Lu Haotsong's wife and child, Morong Yu would definitely help. Don't be in a hurry. Speak slowly. Morong Yu signaled Lu Haotsong not to be in a hurry. This guy only knew to ask Morong Yu to save people, but he didn't explain things clearly. How could Morong Yu save people? Lu Haotsong nodded, then pondered for a while. After organizing his words, he slowly spoke. It turned out that after Blood Rain ancestor was killed, Lu Haotsong could be considered to have avenged his great hatred. Back then, he had left Morong Yu to explore the world on his own. Very quickly, he had met an ordinary woman. Then, the two of them fell in love at first sight and got together. Not long ago, they even gave birth to the fruit of their love. Originally, Lu Haotsong thought that their simple life would pass just like that. Although it was ordinary, it was very happy. Unfortunately, the good times didn't last long. Originally, they lived at the foot of an ordinary mountain. However, many years ago, there were many strange phenomena in the depths of the mountain range. At that time, Lu Haotsong's strength had already reached the profound sage realm. Therefore, he mustered up the courage to investigate deeply, but he didn't find anything. However, the strange phenomena of heaven and earth became more and more intense. Sensing that something was wrong, Lu Haotsong wanted to leave this place with his wife and child. However, he was still too late. All of a sudden, that mountain range was occupied by many powerful saints overnight. Many people, including Lu Haotsong, were directly detained. They were suppressed in a pitch-black place where they could not even see their own hands. It was so dark that they could not see the sun. In the end, Lu Haotsong thought of a way to escape. However, he couldn't save his wife and child. Moreover, ever since he escaped, he had been chased by the powerhouses of that force. Many years had passed, and Lu Haotsong had been on the run. At that time, Morong Yu had already become famous in the Holy World. At one time, Lu Haotsong wanted to ask Morong Yu for help. However, Morong Yu didn't have a fixed residence, and he couldn't find Morong Yu at all. Therefore, when Morong Yu became the leader of the human race's great alliance, Lu Haotsong secretly came here. Why secretly? Because he didn't want that force to know. When he was escaping, he was threatened by that force. If he dared to leak half a word, his wife and children, as well as many innocent people, would all be executed. As for why that force didn't want to use his wife and children to threaten Lu Haotsong, this was because they didn't dare to force Lu Haotsong. As the saying goes, a cornered dog will jump over a wall. They were also afraid that Lu Haotsong would leak the news. Strange phenomena of heaven and earth? Mysterious force? Could it be that some treasure is about to appear there? Morong Yu's heart skipped a beat, and this thought appeared in his mind. However, he soon corrected his mentality. Saving people was the goal, and seizing the treasure was just incidental. Okay, let's set off immediately. However, you'll have to wait for me. I need to bring some companions with me. As he spoke, Morong Yu sent Lu Haotsang into the He Tu and the Book of the Luo. Then, he took Little White and left Big Dipper Mountain. With Lu Haotsang's help, Morong Yu directly teleported to the farthest place, and then quickly rushed over through the teleportation formation. Chapter 1716. The Scarlet Moon Mountain Range was an ordinary mountain range in the human territory of the Holy World. There wasn't anything good inside, only all kinds of powerful ferocious beasts. This place was under the control of the Purple Thunder Hall, one of the 10 great holy lands of the human race. Morong Yu guessed that those mysterious experts were most likely experts from the Purple Thunder Hall. However, Morong Yu didn't get any information from the Purple Thunder Hall saint-ranking expert he controlled. If they weren't from the Purple Thunder Hall, then they must be one of the Purple Thunder Hall's subordinate forces. Very quickly, Morong Yu and Lu Haotsang appeared at the foot of the Scarlet Moon Mountain Range. Looking at the endless mountain range covered by layers of fog, Lu Haotsang said with a gloomy face, "The Scarlet Moon Mountain Range is right in front of us. Not long ago, it was just an ordinary mountain range, and its depths could be seen with a single glance. There was no such fog at all. Furthermore, there were some small forces in the Scarlet Moon Mountain Range before. However, they are all under the control of that mysterious force now." Morong Yu nodded slightly, and extended his incomparably huge divine sense. However, when his divine sense came into contact with those layers of fog, it was reflected back. "Who is it?" Right after Morong Yu's divine sense was reflected back, an angry roar suddenly sounded from the layers of fog. At the same time, Morong Yu and Lu Haotsang saw the fog suddenly split open, and a huge man jumped out from the crack. Without saying anything, that huge man stretched out his huge hand, which was the size of a palm leaf fan, and fiercely slapped down at Morong Yu and Lu Haotsang. A cold killing intent flashed past Morong Yu's eyes, because he felt an extremely strong killing intent from that huge man. This guy definitely wanted to kill the two of them in one blow. Furthermore, this person's strength wasn't weak, and was an ancestor saint. If it was just Lu Haotsang, he would definitely die. Killing without asking for any reason. Morong Yu sneered in his heart. He took a step forward and stretched out his hand to grab the giant man. Seeing Morong Yu make a move, the giant man actually laughed out loud. Without any fear, he continued to attack Morong Yu. Because in his eyes, Morong Yu was just a weak piece of trash. Lu Haotsang looked at the giant man with a mocking expression. He was simply courting death. Bang! Morong Yu's attack arrived first, and with a slap, the giant man fell to the ground. Morong Yu's current battle prowess was comparable to a terrifying existence ranked in the top 10 of the saint rankings. Slapping a mere giant to the ground was easier than flipping his palm. "What's going on?" The giant man was immediately confused. Before he could react, Morong Yu had already stretched out his hand and grabbed him in the air. Immediately after, Morong Yu's palm vibrated with power, and the giant man was instantly knocked unconscious. "I was just about to see what's going on inside when you delivered yourself to me." Morong Yu sneered in his heart, and began to read the giant man's attack. As expected, it's someone from the Purple Thunder Hall. After getting the information he needed, Morong Yu shook his hand, and directly turned the giant man into dust. Although this guy was very unlucky to have run into Morong Yu today, and was unable to kill Morong Yu and Lu Haotsang. However, he had killed quite a few others. Thus, by killing him, Morong Yu could be considered to have gotten rid of an evil for the people. One of the 10 great holy lands? Lu Haotsang was shocked, and the worry on his face became even more intense. He had never thought that his enemy would actually be one of the 10 great holy lands of the human race, the Purple Thunder Hall. Facing such a giant, Lu Haotsang felt extremely powerless. "Don't worry, even the Purple Thunder Hall cannot stop me." Knowing Lu Haotsang's worry, Morong Yu smiled and patted his shoulder. Thinking of Morong Yu's identity and strength, Lu Haotsong nodded. Right now, he could only place all his hopes on Murong-yu. Murong-yu, however, did not immediately enter the Scarlet Moon mountain range. From the giant man's memories, Murong-yu knew what was going on inside. It should be a martial technique. Right now, all the disciples of the Purple Thunder Hall were in the Scarlet Moon mountain range, and every one of them was comprehending that martial technique. However, for a long time, no one had been able to comprehend that martial technique. However, the people of the Purple Thunder Hall were unwilling to give up. Furthermore, because of the absolute control the Purple Thunder Hall had over this area, even if they sealed off the Scarlet Moon mountain range, outsiders would not know. Most importantly, when they sealed off the Scarlet Moon mountain range, they did not use the identity of the Purple Thunder Hall to seal off the mountain range. It was said that the martial technique could be a martial saint, or even a dominator-level martial technique. Once one successfully comprehended it, one could become a martial saint, or even a dominator. Regarding this, Murong-yu snorted disdainfully. If a martial technique could allow one to become a martial saint, or even a dominator, then there would not be so many low-level saints in this world. It was undeniable that martial techniques were important. However, a person's physique, potential, hard work, and various kinds of resources would all be lacking. However, it was undeniable that Murong-yu was also interested in that so-called powerful martial technique. Seeing Murong-yu standing there and seeking death, Lu Haotsong could not help but feel a little nervous. After hesitating for a long time, he finally could not help but ask, "Murong-yu, do you also have no way?" "If not, then forget it." Murong-yu was startled, and then realized that he had neglected Lu Haotsong. Thus he smiled and said, "Sister-in-law and the rest are fine. The other people who were imprisoned are also fine. I think the Purple Thunder Hall did not want to kill too many people. Let's go in now. However, you still have to return to the Hichu Luoshu." Lu Haotsong was overjoyed. As long as he could save them, not to mention entering the Hichu Luoshu. Even if he was asked to do anything, he would agree. Moreover, the Hichu Luoshu was not an ordinary place. Others did not even have the qualifications to enter. After keeping Lu Haotsong into the Hichu Luoshu, Murong-yu took a step forward. His figure quickly dimmed, finally completely disappearing into the void. Concealment. After concealing himself, Murong-yu directly passed through the great formation set up by the Purple Thunder Hall. Whether it was the great formation or restrictions, they were completely useless against Murong-yu. Amen? As soon as Murong-yu entered the Red Moon mountain range, his heart suddenly palpitated. An indescribable and powerful call suddenly arose from the bottom of Murong-yu's heart, calling out to Murong-yu, as if summoning Murong-yu. At the same time, the 7 martial arts in Murong-yu's body started to rapidly circulate. Even Murong-yu was unable to suppress them. Murong-yu was immediately greatly shocked. With a thought, he knew that the martial art that was rapidly circulating in his body was none other than one of the 9 characters mantra. After the initial shock, Murong-yu's face revealed an expression of ecstasy. He had encountered this situation many times before. It was always when he encountered the other characters of the 9 characters mantra that this kind of situation would occur. Then, the peerless martial art that the people from the Purple Thunder Hall were talking about was one of the 9 characters mantra? If it was really like this, then Murong-yu had taken another big step towards the perfection of the 9 characters mantra. It should be known that after Murong-yu had obtained the arrival formula from the heaven-suppressing sex Turtle King Shui Yuanhua, Murong-yu had always been inquiring about the last 2 characters. However, he had not obtained any information at all, and now, he had actually obtained information about one of the remaining 2 characters here? If he did not know Lu Haotsong, then he might never know about this character. Lu Haotsong was really a great person. He had helped him so much before, and now he had even given him one of the 9 characters mantra. A great person. Resisting the urge to go over, Murong Yu flew towards the place where the hostages were being held. In the blink of an eye, Murong Yu appeared in a valley. This valley was originally a very ordinary valley. However, at this time, the Purple Thunder Hall had used a great saint technique to open up an independent space, suppressing many people inside. No one was guarding the entrance of the valley. Because those people who were suppressed had their strength sealed, they could not leave this independent space at all, let alone escape the Red Moon Mountain range. Because of that, Murong Yu swaggered into the room. Swish! Lu Haotsang was released from Hichu Luoshu. After being stunned for a moment, Lu Haotsang's face was filled with ecstasy. Then, his incomparably huge divine sense quickly spread out. The next moment, he took a step forward and disappeared on the spot. He had actually forgotten about Murong Yu. Murong Yu shook his head helplessly and also took a step forward, following behind Lu Haotsang. In the blink of an eye, Lu Haotsang appeared next to a middle-aged woman and a young man around the age of 10. Then, he shouted excitedly and directly hugged them. "Husband, why are you back? Father, you're back?" At the same time, the middle-aged woman and the strong-looking teenager exclaimed in surprise. However, the expressions on their faces were different. The middle-aged woman's face was filled with worry, while the teenager's face was filled with joy. The middle-aged woman thought that Lu Haotsang was captured and brought back. The teenager did not think so much, he was just happy to see his father. Murong Yu did not go near, giving the family time to reunite. He only sized up Lu Haotsang's wife and son from afar. Lu Haotsang's wife, Lu Shi, had an ordinary appearance and was not strong, barely entering the undying realm. Their son had not even reached the great saint realm. After all, not everyone was as talented and heaven-defying as Murong Yu. Although the pregnancy and growth cycle of a saint was extremely long, the breakthrough time was even longer. From an ordinary saint to a great saint, one had to look at one's own talent, potential, cultivation method, and various resources. When Lu Haotsang left, Murong Yu gave him a lot of things. But at that time, Murong Yu was also a pauper, and he really did not have anything good on him. And after so many years, those things were probably used up by Lu Haotsang. Where would he have the extra resources to nurture his son? While Murong Yu was deep in thought, Lu Haotsang had already led Lu Shi and his son, Lu Zijin, over. Chapter 17:17. Jin, come and greet your uncle. Murong Yu, this is my wife and my son, Lu Zijin. Lu Haotsang and the others arrived before Murong Yu and his wife. Lu Haotsang smiled as he introduced his wife and son to Murong Yu. Murong Yu smiled and nodded at Madame Lu, then looked at the dignified Lu Zijin. He was currently looking at Murong Yu with a curious gaze. Suddenly, Murong Yu frowned. Old Lu, what's going on? Lu Zijin's talent? Lu Haotsang's expression immediately darkened, then he smiled bitterly. Lu Zijin's talent was only average. It could even be said to be poor. If he'd used all sorts of pills to cleanse it after he'd been born, Lu Zijin's talent would have improved quite a bit. However, Lu Haotsang had nothing back then. He didn't have any treasures to improve Lu Zijin's talent at all. As a result, Lu Zijin's talent wasn't just average now. It was very poor. Murong Yu guessed that with Lu Zijin's talent, he wouldn't even be able to reach the imperishable realm if he didn't have any fortuitous encounters. This was Lu Haotsang's only son. Murong Yu furrowed his brows slightly, then looked at Lu Zijin with a smile on his face. At the same time, he stroked Lu Zijin's head. At the same time, Murong Yu's extremely advanced life force erupted from his palm and rushed into Lu Zijin's body. At this moment, Lu Zijin only felt a warm current enter his body from Murong Yu's palm, then quickly flow through his body. Wherever it passed, Lu Zijin felt lazy and comfortable. Why do I stink? What's this black stuff? Before long, an incomparably foul smell wafted out from Lu Zijin's body. Lu Zijin felt that something was wrong. He looked at his arms and then jumped in fright. Both of his arms were wrapped in a layer of pitch-black and extremely ugly sticky substance. And it wasn't just his arms, but his entire body. Lu Zijin immediately blushed. Then, without saying a word, he unfolded his body and flew to the other side. There was a river not far from them. Morongyu, thank you. Ever since Morongyu began to wash Lu Zijin's body, Lu Haotsang was stunned. All this time, Lu Haotsang didn't have any natural treasures to raise Lu Zijin's aptitude. However, the couple continued to use their power to refine Lu Zijin's body. However, the effect was extremely weak and could not improve Lu Zijin's physique at all. Morongyu, on the other hand, only lightly stroked her. As a profound sage, Lu Haotsang could tell at a glance that Lu Zijin's aptitude had increased by countless times. Originally, Lu Zijin's aptitude was extremely poor. He couldn't even enter the imperishable realm. At the very least, his aptitude had been raised to high grade. Lu Haotsang and Madame Lu looked at each other, and then both of them revealed a look of surprise. With high-grade aptitude, as long as he didn't die prematurely, reaching the imperishable realm wouldn't be a problem. It was even possible for him to reach the profound sage or ancient sage realm. Old Lu, you can go to Shenzhen in the future. Let Lu Zijin become Shenzhen's disciple. With his current aptitude, I can't guarantee that he will reach the peak of the primal chaos ancestor realm. However, reaching the low level of the primal chaos ancestor realm shouldn't be a problem at all. Morongyu looked at Lu Haotsang and his wife, who had a look of surprise on their faces. Primal chaos ancestor realm? Lu Haotsang was suddenly thrown into disarray. It should be known that their Lu family had never had a powerhouse of that level. Morongyu, is this true? Lu Haotsang felt that he was about to faint. Morongyu didn't speak, and only nodded slightly. In fact, he was still holding back. With the power of his life force, he could easily raise a person with low aptitude to the level of a genius. In other words, Lu Zijin had already turned from a person with low aptitude into a genius, and not an ordinary genius. Uncle Morong, little Jean thanks you. After a while, Lu Zijin came back. Then, he immediately thanked Morongyu. Lu Zijin's aptitude was just a bit lacking, but he wasn't stupid. On the contrary, he was very smart. Now, the amount of energy of heaven and earth he breathed in and out was more than 100 million times greater than before. Even a fool would know that his aptitude had been raised, and the person who raised his aptitude was definitely Morongyu. Lu Zijin, you didn't expect to come to our Shenzhen? Become a disciple of Shenzhen? Morongyu smiled, and actually sent an invitation to Lu Zijin. No, I want to accompany my parents. Lu Zijin immediately refused. After saying that, he even smiled. Morongyu was very hurt. His invitation was actually rejected? You unfilial son. Lu Haotsang and his wife naturally wanted Lu Zijin to become a disciple of Shenzhen. That way, Lu Zijin's future would be limitless. But now, this guy actually rejected it without even thinking about it. Although this filial piety touched them, it wasn't a wise decision. Thus, Lu Haotsang fiercely knocked Lu Zijin on the head. At the same time, he pulled the aggrieved Lu Zijin to the side and began educating him. Morongyu didn't care about the father and son. With a thought, he had already taken out the Hichu Luoshu. Then, all the saints in this independent space were taken away by him. Uncle, I want to join Shenzhen and become a disciple of Shenzhen. At this time, Lu Zijin walked back and said to Morongyu with a smile. Morongyu didn't say anything and directly took the three of them into the Hichu Luoshu. He already knew that Lu Zijin would join Shenzhen. Unless there was really something wrong with Lu Zijin's brain. With a step, Morongyu's figure disappeared on the spot and became invisible again. It's time to see which word it is. Is it the all word or the forward word? I don't know what power these two words have. Murong Yu thought in his heart and had already used his speed to fly in the direction of the call in his heart. Lin Bing Do Zhe Jie Zhen Lai Zai Qian. Of the 9 syllables mantra, Murong Yu had already obtained 7 words. Now only the all-word and forward word had not been obtained. However, Murong Yu was now almost certain that there was definitely one of the 9 syllables mantra in the depths of the Scarlet Moon Mountain Range. Although the Scarlet Moon Mountain Range was not well known, the mountain ranges in the Holy World were extremely vast and endless. Not to mention a few 100 million people, even billions or tens of billions of people could be accommodated. Moreover, it wouldn't be crowded. Murong Yu's speed was extremely fast, and he quickly rushed to the center of the Scarlet Moon Mountain Range. The closer he got, the stronger the call in Murong Yu's heart became. Strange phenomenon descending from the heavens, thousands of auspicious colors. Various kinds of multicolored light enveloped the entire mountain range. Under the multicolored light, the several 100 million disciples of the Purple Thunder Hall sat cross-legged on the spot, all of them looking at the void in front of them. Those multicolored lights were emitted from the void. Murong Yu looked over and discovered that there was nothing in the void except for an ancient character the size of a small mountain. That ancient character was something that Murong Yu had never seen before. However, when he saw the ancient character, he immediately recognized what it was. Jia. This ancient character was the same as the 7 characters that Murong Yu had already cultivated. It was one of the characters in the 9 syllables mantra. The Jia character. Murong Yu immediately became excited. If he could obtain this character, then Murong Yu's 9 syllables mantra would reach perfection in just a month. These idiots, although the aura emitted by the Jia character can increase their comprehension to a certain extent, but it's impossible for them to cultivate this character. Holy Master, this character is already at your fingertips. Hichu's voice sounded in Murong Yu's ears. Murong Yu nodded, agreeing with Hichu's words. These people were trying to comprehend the mysteries of the Jia character. But Murong Yu was certain that these people didn't understand the character at all. If they couldn't even understand the characters, how could they comprehend it? Therefore, Murong Yu was quite calm. But now there was a new problem. From past experience, when Murong Yu collected the 9 syllables mantra, he would no longer be able to conceal himself. Should he drive these people away, or should he openly take away the all-character formula in front of them? Holy Master, now that the sacred race and the demon race are restless, a new round of war is about to begin. If we only rely on the current human race alliance, we won't be able to stop the invasion of the sacred race and the demon race. I suggest that we first subdue these sacred lands. After all, they have many powerhouses on the saint rankings, and there are many primal chaos ancestor and sacred ancestor level powerhouses. They will be a powerful force to resist the sacred race and the demon race. At this time, Hichu gave Murong Yu a suggestion. Murong Yu pondered for a moment, and felt that Hichu was right. After all, other than the true martial temple and unparalleled palace, he didn't dare to subdue them. The other sacred lands didn't have much power to him. So he nodded, and then took a step forward, disappearing on the spot. Didn't the Purple Thunder Hall seal the entire Scarlet Moon Mountain Range? Right now, Murong Yu was adding an even more powerful formation to their seal, to prevent these people from escaping. These formations didn't need to be very powerful, and Murong Yu only used them to guard against those who slipped through the net. Therefore, he quickly finished setting up the formation, and then with a flash, he appeared near the Jia character. Murong Yu. Just as Murong Yu's figure appeared, several cries of surprise rang out from the Purple Thunder Hall. At the same time, several figures rose into the air, and appeared in front of Murong Yu. Murong Yu, what is the meaning of this? The Purple Thunder Hall's Hall Master, Su Tianyu, looked at Murong Yu with an ugly expression. Everything in the Human Race Alliance belongs to our Human Race Alliance. This cultivation method naturally belongs to our Human Race Alliance. What? Does your Purple Thunder Hall want to monopolize it? Murong Yu glanced at Su Tianyu and said indifferently, "Everything belongs to the Human Race Alliance? Why don't you say that the entire sacred world belongs to the Human Race Alliance?" Su Tianyu almost spat out a mouthful of blood. Chapter 17-18. Although Murong Yu was the alliance head of the human race's great alliance, and was very powerful at that, but the Purple Thunder Hall group did not fear him in the slightest. At this moment, including the Purple Thunder Hall's Hall Master Su Tianyu, each and every one of them was looking at Murong Yu furiously. Murderous intent filled the air, filling the entire valley. Many of the Purple Thunder Hall's disciples were even more restless, wanting to kill Murong Yu. Sensing these murderous intents, Murong Yu's expression did not change in the slightest. When one's strength reached a certain level, no matter how many opponents there were, it would be useless against him. With Murong Yu's current strength, he could kill the majority of the Purple Thunder Hall's disciples with a single slap. What? You're still not convinced? Murong Yu looked at Su Tianyu, who was about to vomit blood, his expression turning indifferent. Su Tianyu looked at Murong Yu furiously, then fiercely nodded his head. He was not convinced. If not for the fact that his strength was inferior to Murong Yu's, he would have slapped him long ago. Su Tianyu, your Purple Thunder Hall's reputation in the human race is not bad, and is one of the 10 great sacred lands of the human race. I also do not want to kill too many of you. Now I will give you a chance to completely submit and surrender. Murong Yu first looked at Su Tianyu, then slowly swept his gaze over the Purple Thunder Hall group. Su Tianyu coldly snorted, "Murong Yu, I know you are very powerful, and may be able to forcibly control our souls. But don't think that we will truly submit." Murong Yu did not get angry, and only looked at Su Tianyu with a smile. "How can you truly submit? If you want us to submit, that's fine. Murong Yu, you must make all of us submit wholeheartedly. How about this, if you can take a full blow from all of us, and if you still don't die, we will submit to you." A saint-ranked expert of the Purple Thunder Hall stepped out, looking at Murong Yu with a cold smile. "That's right, as long as you can take a blow from all of us, we will truly submit, and never betray you in the future." Countless disciples of the Purple Thunder Hall shouted one after another. All of them looked excited and disdainful. An awkward expression appeared on Murong Yu's face. As Zhang Xian had said earlier, once one's strength reached a certain level, it would not matter how many enemies one had. But that was on the premise that Murong Yu could attack and dodge, and not take it head-on. Moreover, no matter how many enemies there were, it was based on the fact that their attacks were not concentrated. The Purple Thunder Hall had several experts on the Saint rankings, as well as several 100 million experts of other realms. If their strengths were to be condensed into a single force, how terrifying would that force be? Even the top 10 on the Saint rankings, or even the number 1 on the Saint rankings, wouldn't be able to withstand it. Even a supreme being would not dare to take it head-on. Otherwise, if an accident happened and he was killed, it would be a tragedy. You can use any treasure, even a supreme weapon. However, you must take our attacks head-on and not dodge them. Su Tianyu coldly looked at Murong Yu as he sneered in his heart. It would be strange if Murong Yu dared to accept their conditions. Even if he was a supreme, he would have to think about it carefully. As for Murong Yu's supreme weapon, they were not afraid at all. Their attacks might not be able to destroy a supreme weapon, but the overflowing damage of a supreme weapon would be enough to kill Murong Yu. Murong Yu was indeed somewhat hesitant in his heart. He could very well not accept the other party's conditions, and directly control their souls. But if he could control the souls of Su Tianyu and the other experts on the Saint rankings, could he control the souls of all the disciples of the Purple Thunder Hall? That was not practical at all. But if Murong Yu did not accept this condition, he would not be able to subdue the Purple Thunder Hall. Moreover, he would be looked down upon by the people of the Purple Thunder Hall. Furthermore, if this matter were to spread out, Murong Yu's face would be swept to the ground, and his prestige among the human race would plummet. This was fatal to Murong Yu. This condition made Murong Yu unable to accept it. If he did not handle it well, Murong Yu's prestige or even his life would be affected. Thinking of this, Murong Yu couldn't help but take a deep look at the expert on the Saint rankings who had made this suggestion. This guy was too scheming to have actually proposed such a condition in such a short time. It could be said that he was extremely vicious. However, if this kind of person was used well, he would be a good blade. Hichu Luoshu, Xianyuan sword and Mountain Sea scripture, in addition to my own seal of Akala and the laws of time, I should be able to withstand their attack. If I am unable to, then I will immediately retreat. After pondering for a while, Murong Yu decided. Good. I accept your preparations. I will now give you 1 day to prepare. Murong Yu looked indifferently at Su Tianyu, then took a step forward, appearing in the sky. Saint Master, are we really going to attack? Seeing Murong Yu leave, some people of the Purple Thunder Hall surrounded Su Tianyu and asked. Su Tianyu nodded. If Murong Yu is unable to withstand it, then we will directly kill him. However, if he is able to withstand it, it is not impossible for our Purple Thunder Hall to submit to him. If he is able to withstand all of our attacks, it would not be a loss of face to submit to such an expert. Everyone nodded in agreement. Then they began to move. After half a day, Su Tianyu and the others had finished their preparations. Several 100 million of them formed an incomparably huge battle formation. There was no need to ask to know that this formation could condense everyone's power into an incomparably condensed power, and then blast it out. At this moment, Murong Yu was also ready. He was not careless, and the Xianyuan sword was placed behind him. Above his head floated the Hichu Luoshu and Mountain Sea scripture. The two treasures emitted rays of saint light, which fell down and enveloped Murong Yu. His entire body was firmly protected by the barrier. At the same time, Murong Yu made his move repeatedly, using the laws of time to condense the surrounding space. He even reversed the surrounding space and time. At this moment, as Murong Yu's strength grew stronger and stronger, Murong Yu's ability to reverse space and time also grew stronger and stronger. Although he was still unable to reverse space and time to the immemorial era or future disciples, he was already able to reverse space and time to about a year. Akala Seal. Among Murong Yu's so-called battle techniques, there was an extremely powerful finishing move in the Black Tortoise scripture, unrivaled 10 directions. However, compared to the 9 syllables mantra's Lin formula, there was still a considerable gap. Therefore, Murong Yu chose to use the Lin formula's Akala seal. Kill. After both sides were ready, the Purple Thunder Hall's Holy Lord Su Tianyu roared. Therefore, the several 100 million disciples of the Purple Thunder Hall, who had long since raised their strength to the limit, unleashed their strongest attack. Rumble multicolored saint light burst out, extremely dazzling and resplendent. After these powers were blasted out, they did not dissipate, nor did they directly attack Murong Yu. Instead, they rapidly moved along a specific trajectory. First, they fused with the surrounding powers. This was like a small stream fusing with another small stream, and then turning into a small river. These powers rapidly grew, and then directly rushed into the sky. During this process, the people of the Purple Thunder Hall did not stop the outpouring of power. Instead, each and every one of them released the power within their bodies in an unending stream. Finally, these powers gathered in the air above their heads, forming an incomparably huge sphere of power. Under the unceasing outpouring of power from the people of the Purple Thunder Hall, this sphere became smaller and smaller. That's right, it did not become bigger and bigger, but smaller and smaller. However, the smaller its size, the more terrifying the power it erupted with. Every time the sphere of power shrunk by 1/10, its power would double. Furthermore, this sphere even started to actively absorb the power of the people of the Purple Thunder Hall in the end. About an hour later, many disciples of the Purple Thunder Hall were already unable to hold on and collapsed. However, even if they had collapsed, they still raised their heads to look at that sphere of power, because it carried the hope of all of them. After a while, even Su Tianyu, who was the strongest among them, started to feel strained. At this time, 90% of the experts of the entire Purple Thunder Hall had already collapsed. Right now, not to mention encountering a sacred ground, even a peak strength expert could easily kill the majority of them. Murong Yu's expression was extremely grave as he looked at that sphere of power. He could feel the aura of death from this sphere. This was because that sphere had the ability to kill him. Furthermore, the probability of that happening was not small. Cut off the outpouring of power, attack! Su Tianyu shouted loudly, and those disciples of the Purple Thunder Hall who were still holding on immediately cut off the outpouring of power, stopping the outpouring of power. At this time, Su Tianyu had already controlled the sphere to slowly bombard Murong Yu. At this time, the sphere of power was only the size of a millstone. This was after all the power of several 100 million sages. Once it exploded, it was likely that even a martial saint would be killed. At the beginning, the sphere's power was very slow, but it gradually accelerated. The gazes of the people of the Seamless Society were all focused on that sphere. The sphere's speed became faster and faster, and the pressure it emitted also became more and more terrifying. The terrifying aura suppressed the entire Scarlet Moon mountain range, causing it to tremble violently, as if it would explode at any time. The faces of the people of the Purple Thunder Hall changed greatly. Fortunately, Murong Yu was in the sky. Otherwise, once that sphere exploded, they would definitely die. But even so, they still quickly retreated. With a schwa sound, the sphere had already arrived in front of Murong Yu. Boom! When the sphere arrived not far in front of Murong Yu, everyone saw a burst of blinding holy light suddenly erupt. Following that, an earth-shattering sound rang out, shaking the surrounding space and shattering it. Some of the disciples of the Purple Thunder Hall were so shocked that their vision turned black, and they actually fainted. The sphere had exploded. At this time, Murong Yu's state of mind was raised to the extreme, because he had already seen an incomparably terrifying power shattering through space and time, ruthlessly strangling towards him. With a thought, Murong Yu activated the Mountain Sea Scripture, and went up to meet it. Chapter 17-19. Murong Yu couldn't retreat, nor could he take the initiative to attack. He didn't use the Mountain and Sea Scripture to attack the power that had already erupted. Instead, he used the Mountain and Sea Scripture to block that terrifying attack. Boom! In a flash, the Mountain and Sea Scripture, which had transformed into the size of a mountain, was already millions of miles away from Murong Yu. Almost at the same time the Mountain and Sea Scripture appeared, the power of the sphere that had gathered the power of all the saints of the Purple Thunder Hall fiercely collided with the Mountain and Sea Scripture. After a loud explosion, the Mountain and Sea Scripture was directly sent flying. It didn't even stay in place for a tenth of a breath's time. Crack! At the same time the Mountain and Sea Scripture was sent flying, a crisp sound rang out from Murong Yu's body. His mind had been shattered quite a bit. Even his physical body had been shaken by the overflowing damage, to the point that incomparably terrifying cracks had appeared on it. However, to others this was a serious injury. But it was still not enough to threaten Murong Yu's life. The life force in his body was quickly cleansed. After a round of exchanges, Murong Yu's shattered physical body was restored to its original state. At the same time, his incomparably huge soul spirit also surged into his mind like raging waves. Then, Murong Yu's mind was rapidly recovering at a speed visible to the naked eye. During this process, Murong Yu looked at the boundless power that was rushing towards him, his eyes shining brightly. As for the mountain and sea scripture, this supreme artifact, it was fine. It was a high-grade supreme artifact, and couldn't be destroyed so easily. After using up a portion of its power and being sent flying, Morong-Yu didn't want to use it for the time being. After all, if he continued to use a supreme artifact, the overflowing damage would be too terrifying. He actually blocked it? Seeing Morong-Yu block the attack, the people of the Purple Thunder Hall on the ground couldn't help but be surprised. But it was only a slight surprise. After all, Morong-Yu's attack this time had only used up less than a tenth of its power. There was still 90% of the attack that was rushing towards Morong-Yu. Time reversal, time freeze, time chaos, time and space reversal. After the mountain and sea scripture was sent flying, the explosive power rushed into the time power that Morong-Yu had set up. As a result, these powers were either transferred to different space-time or frozen in part due to the freezing of time. In fact, due to the chaos of time, the power generated by the explosion of the spheres actually bombarded each other. They cancelled each other out. What's the situation? They saw that the power they had unleashed was stagnant in the sky. The power of the explosion was weakening at a speed visible to the naked eye. Everyone from the Purple Thunder Hall could not help but be dumbstruck. At this time, no one doubted Morong-Yu. Regardless of whether Morong-Yu had used his power or some other treasure, he had still managed to block the attacks. To be able to block the power, this was a skill. Thus, other than being shocked, the people of the Purple Thunder Hall actually began to admire him. Boom crack crack, however, the combined power of all of them was too terrifying. Very quickly, Morong-Yu's time power could no longer withstand it. In the blink of an eye, all of Morong-Yu's moves and techniques related to the power of time were shattered. However, what made Morong-Yu feel gratified was that this time power had consumed more than 20% of the opponent's power. In other words, before that power had even reached Morong-Yu, 30% of it had already been consumed by Morong-Yu. The threat to Morong-Yu had decreased greatly. Now, only 70% of its power was left. Even so, Morong-Yu did not dare to underestimate it, nor did he dare to relax in the slightest. At this time, he was still on guard. Space imprisonment, space barrier, space oscillation, space barrier, space laceration. After the time power came the space power. Like the time power, these moves and techniques were all left behind by Morong-Yu's vision. As long as the space power did not disappear, once it was attacked, these moves would be triggered, erupting with power. However, the space power did not specialize in attack, but in imprisonment. Thus, the space power was able to resist for a shorter period of time than the time power, and consumed less power. However, it had also consumed 10% of its power. 40% of its power had been consumed. And the opponent's power had already broken through Morong-Yu's 3 layers of defense. Now, Morong-Yu only had a single layer of defense left. The power that had been weakened by 40%, condensed from the power of everyone in the Purple Thunder Hall, had once again decreased explosively. The threat to Morong-Yu had decreased even further. However, there was still 60% of its power, which could easily grind Morong-Yu to smithereens. Withdraw. At this time, that power had already rushed to not far in front of Morong-Yu, fiercely smashing into the Hichu Luoshu. Just at this time, Morong-Yu roared loudly, and the Hichu Luoshu that had originally already covered the skies suddenly opened up, revealing a large opening. Following which, the Purple Thunder Hall members were shocked to see that a considerable portion of the power they had collectively unleashed had actually surged into the Hichu Luoshu. Rumble. At this time, the inside of the Hichu Luoshu was a completely different scene. After this terrifying power had rushed in, large swathes of space were shattered wherever it passed, and even annihilated. However, Morong-Yu had long since made preparations. With a thought, this power shot out in all directions. Although the heavens and earth were still shattered wherever it passed, and space was annihilated, the amount of space it passed through was much smaller. However, the amount of force that each part of his body had to endure was much smaller. At the same time, the damage he received was also much smaller. Apart from 1/10 of the space that had not been ravaged by this power, all the remaining space within the Hichu Luoshu had been shattered and even annihilated. And this was only 40% of the power that had been unleashed by that sphere of power. After devouring 40% of its power, Murong Yu closed the Hichu Luoshu. Without any suspense, the Hichu Luoshu was sent flying. Now there was only 20% of its power left. The Yin-Yang Cauldron, the Yin-Yang Bow and the Heaven-Shaking Arrow had all been brought out by Murong Yu, blocking in front of him. Although they had all been sent flying, 10% of their power had also been used up. In principle, the Yin-Yang Cauldron and the Yin-Yang Bow were not weaker than the mountain and sea scripture. However, of these two treasures, one was good at refining pills, while the other was good at attacking. Although the Yin-Yang Cauldron's attack was also very sharp, both of them were not good at defending. Thus, the effect was not great. However, these treasures and Murong Yu's methods had still managed to reduce the power of the attack by 90%. Merely 10% of the attack had already landed on Murong Yu's body in a flash. Rumble! After a loud explosion, an even more dazzling and resplendent holy light erupted. The glaring holy light had submerged the entire world, including Murong Yu. It had blinded everyone's eyes. I wonder if Murong Yu will be able to block it? The resplendent and dazzling holy light did not disperse for a long time. No one could clearly see Murong Yu, who was surrounded by the endless holy light. However, all of them were still unable to take their eyes off that dazzling light. They did not dare to extend their divine senses over, otherwise, they would be shattered into pieces before they could even get close. If he doesn't die, will you all submit to him? A disciple of the Purple Thunder Hall suddenly asked the person beside him. Yes. A disciple of the Purple Thunder Hall answered firmly without hesitation. The others also gave the same resolute answer. They had all felt the terror of that power. The power of several 100 million disciples had been continuously broken by Murong Yu. Most importantly, Murong Yu did not take the initiative to retreat, nor did he take the initiative to attack. He was only passively enduring it. No matter if it was Murong Yu's strength or his charisma, he had already conquered all the people of the Purple Thunder Hall. Facing a power that could practically destroy everything, who would have the courage to directly face it, not escaping or attacking? In the entire sacred world, there was probably only Murong Yu alone. It could be said that this time, even if Murong Yu had been killed, he had still conquered the Purple Thunder Hall. At this moment, even Su Tianyu, the holy master of the Purple Thunder Hall, could not help but wholeheartedly submit to Murong Yu. If Murong Yu doesn't die, I will pledge my loyalty to him. This thought appeared in the minds of the people of the Purple Thunder Hall. They were willing to submit to him. After a long time, the holy light in the sky gradually dissipated. Under the expectant gazes of the people of the Purple Thunder Hall, a huge protective shield appeared in their line of sight. When the holy light completely disappeared, Murong Yu, who was forming hand seals, slowly appeared in the ears of the people of the Purple Thunder Hall. Murong Yu did not die. Furthermore, he seemed to be fine, as if nothing had happened to him at all. Good! In the crowd, it was not known who shouted first, but the entire Purple Thunder Hall was in a thunderous uproar. They all shouted loudly, each and every one of them looking incomparably excited. Few, within the protective shield, Murong Yu let out a sigh of relief. Putting away the Akala seal, he took a step forward, appearing in the air above everyone's heads. Hearing the cheers from below and the excited expressions of the Purple Thunder Hall disciples, a smile also appeared on Murong Yu's face. Although it was a close call this time, he had successfully conquered the Purple Thunder Hall. Furthermore, after enduring the attack just now, Murong Yu discovered that his Akala seal seemed to have become even stronger. Not only was it easier to control, the power of the protective shield had also increased by several times. Murong Yu couldn't help but wonder if the Akalanatha seal would only disappear after it was attacked. We pay our respects to the Alliance Master. From now on, we of the Purple Thunder Hall will follow the Holy Master for life, even if we have to climb a mountain of swords or plunge into a sea of flames, we will follow him to death. We will never betray him. The Hall Master of the Purple Thunder Hall, Su Tianyu, brought all the experts of the Purple Thunder Hall in front of Murong Yu, then knelt down on one knee, simultaneously shouting, "We will follow him to death, we will never betray him. We will follow him to death, we will never betray him. We will follow him to death, we will never betray him." On the ground, all the disciples of the Purple Thunder Hall also knelt down on one knee, shouting loudly towards the sky. Murong Yu's heart was blooming with joy, but on the surface, he only revealed a slight smile. He took a step forward, supporting Su Tianyu with both hands. "Everyone, remember, we are all equal, there is no need to kneel." The people of the Purple Thunder Hall were startled, then a look of gratitude appeared on their faces. Equal, where did this equality come from? Whoever's fist was bigger was the boss. The weak did not have the slightest bit of dignity, and could only kneel in front of the strong. However, Murong Yu had said that they were all equal. How could they not be moved? Chapter 1720. Originally, Murong Yu's success in blocking the attacks of the Purple Thunder Hall's group had already caused the Purple Thunder Hall disciples to feel sincere admiration for him. At that time, they had already been willing to submit. But at that time, the Purple Thunder Hall group had also been willing to submit. Towards Murong Yu, towards Shenzhen and towards the human race's great alliance, they did not have any sense of belonging. They would listen to Murong Yu's orders, but they would definitely not listen to Murong Yu's orders and die. But ever since Murong Yu had said, "Everyone, remember, we are all equal, there is no need to kneel," the Purple Thunder Hall group had been instantly moved. Murong Yu was the high and mighty Holy Master, the alliance head of the human race's great alliance. He had actually said that he was an equal existence to them all. At this moment, a feeling of a gentleman dying for his bosom friend appeared in the hearts of many Purple Thunder Hall disciples. At this time, if Murong Yu wanted them to die, some of them would definitely die without hesitation. As a super expert, Murong Yu naturally felt the change in their hearts. This made him feel astonished, because Murong Yu had really never needed others to kneel before him. In his faction, there was indeed no such thing as people kneeling at the slightest provocation. But what he did not expect was that with just a sentence, the Purple Thunder Hall group would actually be so moved. Presumably, it was because the hierarchy in the Purple Thunder Hall was very strict. But this was a good thing. After all, the Purple Thunder Hall disciples were all geniuses amongst geniuses. The Purple Thunder Hall was after all one of the 10 great holy lands of the human race. Their conditions for recruiting disciples were extremely harsh, just like the true martial temple. As long as these people were properly nurtured, they would be able to become Murong Yu's capable backing in the future. Seeing the worship in everyone's eyes, a helpless smile flashed across the face of the Purple Thunder Hall's Hall Master Su Tianyu. Right now, his prestige in the Purple Thunder Hall was probably already far below Murong Yu's. He had already held this position for many years, but there had been a day when he was still inferior to Murong Yu's. How could he not feel a sense of loss in his heart? "Alliance Master, what do we do now?" After a while, Su Tianyu calmed himself down and asked for instructions from Murong Yu. After all, they'd already submitted to Murong Yu, so they had to follow his lead. As for whether Murong Yu wanted the Purple Thunder Palace to continue existing, or to split it up and merge it with Shenzhen, Su Tianyu had no objections to this. Furthermore, even if it were to be split up, those disciples of the Purple Thunder Hall would not have any objections. However, in that case, the Purple Thunder Palace's orthodoxy would disappear. It was a pity. There's no rush. Let's see how I'm going to subdue this ancient character first. Murong Yu smiled and said, everyone can continue to study this character. As long as anyone comprehended it, the ancient character would belong to them. I won't take it away by force. We can still continue comprehending? The members of the Purple Thunder Hall were pleasantly surprised. Although they couldn't comprehend this word, the more they couldn't comprehend it, the more they felt that this character wasn't simple, and the more valuable it was. They all knew that if they could truly comprehend this ancient character, they would become the peak existence of the holy world. Alliance Master, can you really comprehend this ancient character? Su Tianyu and the other experts on the holy rankings all looked at Murong Yu. They didn't really believe it in their hearts. However, looking at Murong Yu's confident appearance and thinking of Murong Yu's abnormal aptitude, they began to doubt it. You don't believe me? Murong Yu didn't say anything. Instead, he rose into the air and slowly flew towards the all character floating in the air. At this moment, the other characters of the 9 syllables of truth in Murong Yu's body began to circulate even faster. There was even a faint feeling of a breakthrough. Murong Yu knew that every character of the 9 syllables of truth had a grade. Some of the 9 syllables of truth had a corresponding divine ability or battle skill for every grade. Even if there wasn't, its power could still increase explosively. Whoosh! Murong Yu directly reached out his hand and grabbed at the all character in the air. Seeing this, everyone in the Purple Thunder Hall revealed a smile. It wasn't that they hadn't done something like this before, but no one had ever been able to get close to the all character, let alone grab it in their hands. However, that didn't include Murong Yu. Under everyone's shocked expressions, Murong Yu's hand directly grabbed the all character. Then there was no more then. The all character had already been absorbed into Murong Yu's body. Rumble, the instant Murong Yu absorbed the all character into his body erupted with 7 different colors of holy light. For a moment, the holy light was resplendent and dazzling everyone's eyes. At the same time, an incomparably powerful aura rushed out of Murong Yu's body and swept in all directions. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. After 7 consecutive sounds, everyone saw 7 black shadows rush out of Murong Yu's body and slowly revolve around Murong Yu's body. Why is there such a character on the Alliance Master's body? Although it's not the same character as the one just now, it seems to be the same. It should be from the same era? Everyone in the Purple Thunder Hall was stunned. For a moment, they couldn't react, and could only stare blankly at Murong Yu, who was in the sky. Lin Bing Do Zhe Zhen Lai Zai. In fact, Murong Yu's thoughts revolved around these words. They were the 7 characters of the 9 characters mantra that he had cultivated before. However, this was the first time he had seen these ancient characters appear on his body. Because previously, after Murong Yu had cultivated the 9 characters mantra, those characters seemed to have disappeared. But now, he didn't know what the situation was. However, although Murong Yu hadn't gone to understand it yet, he also felt that his strength had skyrocketed. These 7 characters should mean that he had leveled up, and their might had also skyrocketed. At this moment, Murong Yu didn't have the time to care about these things. His entire mind was focused on the all-character formula, and he began to comprehend it. Time slowly passed, and in the blink of an eye 3 days had passed. In these 3 days, Murong Yu had been in a state of secluded cultivation. The people of the Purple Thunder Hall were also staring at Murong Yu below, none of them leaving. The Alliance Master should be comprehending that character, right? He's really amazing. So many of us have comprehended it for so many years, but we didn't get anything. He actually took this character the moment he came. Usually I also think of myself as a genius, But compared to the Alliance Master, I'm simply a big idiot. Nonsense, you think you can compare to the Alliance Master. Stop arguing. If it affects the Alliance Master, can you bear the responsibility? A disciple glared at the people who were talking. Instantly, those people fell silent. After a long time, someone muttered to himself, I wonder how long the Alliance Master will need to comprehend it? The stronger one is, the stronger the cultivation technique, and the longer it takes to comprehend it. There are even some people who can't comprehend it even after several eras, or even longer. Whoosh! Before this Purple Thunder Hall disciple's voice had even fallen, a black shadow shot out from Murong Yu's body. Then, like the other 7 characters, it began to revolve around Murong Yu's body. Isn't this the character that the Alliance Master just subdued? A cry of surprise suddenly sounded from the crowd. This ancient character that had suddenly appeared was precisely the all-character formula. The appearance of the all-character formula meant that Murong Yu had already comprehended the mysteries of the all-character formula. Indeed, right after the all-character formula appeared, Murong Yu opened his eyes. At the same time, he stood up. Glancing at the energy revolving around his body, Murong Yu's mind moved, and the 8 ancient characters entered his body. After checking himself a little, Murong Yu was surprised to find that his cultivation had actually broken through. 3rd stage Primal Chaos Ancestor Saint. Murong Yu guessed that his ranking on the Saint rankings should have risen again. It should have reached around 80,000, right? However, right now, Murong Yu didn't care about his ranking on the Saint rankings. This was because his own strength far surpassed his ranking on the Saint rankings. Before his breakthrough, Murong Yu was already strong enough to contend with the top 10 experts on the Saint rankings. Now, even if he didn't summon the Xianyuan sword, he could still contend with the 8th to 10th experts on the Saint rankings. If he borrowed the strength of the Xianyuan sword, Murong Yu felt that he could even contend with the 3rd-ranked expert on the Saint rankings, Dongmen Lishuan. As for the 2nd-ranked expert on the Saint rankings, Murong Yu had yet to see the 2nd-ranked expert on the Saint rankings, so he didn't know what level of strength that expert had reached. Therefore, he wouldn't belittle himself. His strength had skyrocketed. The power of the 8 ancient characters had also greatly improved. For example, the army character formula. Previously, it had evolved into demon wings, angel wings, and so on. However, these wings were all gone now, and he had returned to the era of the army character formula. However, Murong Yu could guarantee that with his current speed, Dongmen Lishuan could only eat dust behind him. The formation character formula had broken through to an even higher level. However, no new skills had appeared. However, every skill had been greatly improved. Time freeze, time chaos, and so on could easily imprison the top 10 experts on the Saint rankings. The most terrifying thing was Murong Yu's ability to reverse time and space. Previously, Murong Yu could only reverse time and space for a few years, and he couldn't maintain it for long. Now, Murong Yu could reverse time and space to an era before or after. In other words, Murong Yu could use time reversal to send someone back to an era before, or perhaps an era in the future. However, it wasn't eternal. The current Murong Yu could only maintain this ability for a year. After a year, the people who were sent back to the past or the future would be sent back. Otherwise, they would be directly erased by the power of time. Other abilities such as the soul and space had also skyrocketed. In short, Murong Yu's strength had skyrocketed. As for the all-character arts ability, Murong Yu already knew about it: heavenly divination. Time reversal can reverse time and space within an era? Can I go back and see when I was young? Who are my parents? Murong Yu thought to himself. After this thought appeared in his mind, his desire to go back became stronger and stronger. Chapter 1721. After thinking about it carefully, Murong Yu realized that it had been more than an era since he was born. Although it had been less than 2 eras, Murong Yu's ability to reverse time and space was unable to go back to when he was a child. Therefore, if Murong Yu wanted to go back, he could only do so after he made another breakthrough in the Lai character formula. And Murong Yu believed that this was something that could be done sooner or later. Although Murong Yu had a chaotic celestial body physique, but it was not born from heaven and earth. He also had parents. However, Murong Yu had no impression of his parents at all. It was said that his parents were ordinary children of Murong's family. They did not accomplish anything in their lives and died very early. As for how they died, Murong Yu did not know. In fact, after Murong Yu became powerful, he also went back to Murong's family to read the memories of many people of the older generation of Murong's family. But in these people's memories, there were very few memories of Murong Yu's parents. What puzzled Murong Yu the most was that no one had the appearance of Murong Yu's parents in their minds. There were only 2 very vague appearances, and it was impossible to tell what they were like. After that, Murong Yu also asked Hichu about it. Hichu once told Murong Yu that every chaotic celestial body had the same experience. In their youth, they were all trash who could not cultivate. Then, after they accidentally obtained the Hichu Luoshu, they soared to the sky. Moreover, those people did not have any impression of their parents. As for Hichu, after those chaotic celestial bodies obtained the Hichu Luoshu, their parents had died. Therefore, Hichu did not know the details. However, Hichu also vaguely said, Murong Yu's chaotic celestial body physique was really too powerful. His parents might have been killed by him. Therefore, Murong Yu had always felt guilty. Therefore, he had long decided to resurrect his parents. However, there was nothing he could do about it. Shaking his head, he threw these thoughts out of his mind. Then, he looked at Su Tianyu and the others who were still in shock. Su Tianyu, what's your rank on the saint rankings? 49, Su Tianyu blurted out, unable to react. Murong Yu nodded and smiled. Then take my attack. Are you ready? Murong Yu smiled and looked at Su Tianyu. At this time, Su Tianyu finally reacted. With a thought, he retreated explosively. When the distance between them reached 100 million miles, Murong Yu made his move. He didn't do anything, only flicking his finger. With a whoosh, a black shadow shot out from his fingertip. The black shadow expanded rapidly in the wind. In the blink of an eye, the black shadow had grown to the size of a small mountain. At this time, the members of the Purple Thunder Hall were finally able to clearly see what this black shadow was. It wasn't some kind of power, but a huge ancient character. It was one of the 8 ancient characters that had been revolving around Murong Yu's body. However, none of them recognized the meaning of this ancient character. In reality, this was the Zai character of the 9 words mantra. Previously, Murong Yu couldn't directly type these characters out. However, ever since he obtained the 8th character, the All character, he was able to attack like this. However, Murong Yu wasn't sure what kind of power this attack had. Therefore, he wanted to use Su Tianyu to test its power. In a flash, the Zai character had already smashed through hundreds of millions of spacetime and appeared in front of Su Tianyu. At this time, Su Tianyu didn't feel any sense of danger from the Zai character. However, his expression was still very serious. After all, Murong Yu's strength was much higher than his. Even a casual attack would cost him his life. As for Murong Yu, he definitely wouldn't do something meaningless. Therefore, Su Tianyu waited with rapt attention. Boom! When the Zai character appeared 10,000 miles in front of Su Tianyu, he finally made his move. He attacked with all his might and punched out fiercely. It was earth-shattering, and it bombarded the Zai character fiercely. After the earth-shattering noise, a terrifying shock wave violently shook in all directions from the place of the bombardment. Wherever the power passed, the void was quickly annihilated. In the process, the Zai character was directly shattered into powder. and Su Tianyu was also sent flying by the terrifying power. That's it. In the distance, Morongyu frowned slightly. Although the attack just now was a bit stronger than any of his casual attacks, it was still very powerful. However, there was nothing special about it. Such a change in the Zai character shouldn't be like this. Could it be that there are still some powers that I haven't developed? Seeing Su Tianyu flying away, Morongyu's faintly furrowed brows gradually smoothed out. Rumble, at this moment, the void around Su Tianyu became incomparably violent. Space storm. The terrifying space power cut a large area of the void and quickly strangled Su Tianyu. Su Tianyu was a little shocked. With a thought, he punched out again, trying to break out the space storm. However, at this time, he felt a great pressure in the surrounding space, trying to imprison him in the void. Space imprisonment. Su Tianyu was shocked again. The power in his body burst out, trying to break these attacks. However, at this moment, a huge saber condensed from the power of space tore through the sky and slashed down with incomparable ferocity. Space slash. After space slash, it was space shock and space shield. However, this shield was a little different from the one Morongyu used. If Morongyu used the space shield, the function of the space shield was to protect his body. Now, the space shield that enveloped Su Tianyu had the effect of confinement. In the distance, Morongyu was a little shocked, because he didn't make any moves after throwing out the Zai character. In other words, these space storm, and other attacks were actually released by the Zai character. There was no need for Morongyu to make a move at all. He only needed to throw out the Zai character, and those battle skills would automatically come out. Was this the ability of the 9 syllables, after the transformation? In the midst of the shock, Morongyu was very happy. If the Zai character was like this, then would the other 7 characters be like this too? Morongyu's heart suddenly became hot. With a thought, he threw out the Zai character. Seeing Morongyu attack again, Su Tianyu was very depressed, because at this time, he was still trapped in the void and couldn't leave. It wasn't that he didn't want to leave, but the binding power of the space rule was too strong. Moreover, Morongyu was much stronger than him. For a while, he couldn't break these bindings and leave. The Zai character corresponded to soul attacks. Therefore, under Morongyu's expectant gaze, the Zai character ruthlessly bombarded Su Tianyu's body. Then, it directly burst out all kinds of soul attacks. Saint Soul Slash, Soul Sacred Punch, Saint Luo annihilating the sky, Soul Storm, and so on directly bombarded. Seeing this, Morongyu once again typed out a character. The Lai character formula had a time attack. Puff, puff, puff. Finally, Su Tianyu couldn't take it anymore. Under the space rule, time rule, and soul attack, he was injured. At this time, a huge fighting character bombarded Su Tianyu's body. Just when Su Tianyu felt that something was wrong, he suddenly realized that his power had suddenly increased by several times. As a result, he roared and unleashed his strongest power, shattering the attacks of space and time around him. After shattering these attacks, Su Tianyu still had lingering fear. With a thought, he exploded. However, he didn't expect a huge Bing character to land on his head, almost knocking him out. However, Su Tianyu didn't faint, but his speed suddenly increased. With a xiao sound, he retreated explosively, instantly disappearing from everyone's line of sight. When did the Saint Master's power and speed become so terrifying? Many of the Purple Thunder Palace's experts on the Saint rankings all had shocked expressions. They were all clear of Su Tianyu's power. Perhaps he usually held back. But now, the power and speed he had burst out with was several times more than before. This was too illogical. Even Su Tianyu was baffled, not to mention that they didn't think it was scientific. Only Morongyu understood the reason. It wasn't that Su Tianyu had suddenly become stronger, but rather, those abilities were given to him by Morongyu. Strictly speaking, it was given to him by those few ancient characters of the 9 words mantra. After experimenting, Murong Yu finally discovered the use of these ancient characters. Ancient characters with offensive power, after being sent out, would explode with all kinds of moves. And ancient characters like the battle character art and army character art, that increased power and speed would also increase the opponent's power and speed. Alliance head, what's going on? After a while, Su Tianyu walked back, looking at Murong Yu with a face full of shock and confusion. An attack like Murong Yu's was simply unprecedented. You said that this was just a casual attack of mine, would you believe me? Murong Yu didn't answer, instead giving an irrelevant answer. Su Tianyu nodded. He still believed this point. However, he was still curious about Murong Yu's martial technique. Only, since Murong Yu didn't say anything, it wasn't convenient for him to ask further. The power of the ancient characters are all temporary, and can even be used only once. I wonder if Su Tianyu will also have the ability to deduce heaven's secrets if I use the all-character art on him? Murong Yu pondered in his heart, a smile appearing on his face as he looked at Su Tianyu. Since the ability of the all-character technique was not offensive, defensive, or auxiliary, it was not offensive, defensive, or auxiliary. Instead, it had the ability to deduce heaven's secrets and sense danger. The so-called heaven's secrets was to deduce what had already happened and what had yet to happen. To put it bluntly, it was foresight. If Murong Yu's ability was strong enough, he could become an omniscient person. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.